Welcome to Permanently Geek's Watch With Us podcast commentaries. I am your host, Randy, and sitting next to me, as sometimes, is
Michael McFarlane
and
Dana,
who's cleaning her glasses right now. I didn't realize you were cleaning your glasses.
I'm getting prepared for the movie that we're about to watch.
What's
gotta
the film
see
we're
it
gonna
bright
watch?
and clear.
Walt Disney's Star Wars?
Yes,
Stars War.
Walt Disney, the Star Wars Episode 17, The Force Sleeps. That's not right.
That doesn't sound
That's
right
not
at all.
even really very funny. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie.
Yeah. We can do better.
The film we're going to be watching is Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, the non-George Lucas special edition.
It's special just because he wasn't involved.
George
in making
Lucas
Aw.
had nothing to do with it.
Poor George.
Edition. Poor George. He's okay. He has a couple $1 billion.
Yeah, he's doing all right. He's making films for himself that
In his garage,
he
as he
may or
says.
may not show anyone.
I want to see those films.
I feel like
I wanna see the shit out of those.
he's trying to be like Prince now, who
He
like
should do a YouTube channel like us. George, if you're listening, and I know you probably are.
I would love
Oh.
to see.
He could just have a show on Permanently Geek.
Yeah.
George, if you want to have a show on Permanently Geek, George Lucas's garage films. We'll do that.
Oh my
Absolutely, we will
gosh.
host that. We will
Yeah.
host that here on Permanently
We
Geek.
will host
will
the
welcome
shit
it.
out of that. So we're going to be doing a commentary on Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. This is pretty exciting. We did, if you haven't heard before, we actually did commentaries for Star Wars Episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, as well as the 2 live-action Ewok films and the Star Wars Holiday Special. And now
That was a
we
lot of
are-
commentaries.
We did
That
a
was-
lot of commentaries throughout like November and December. It
If
was
you
like constant.
marathon all of those, you'd probably be.
You deserve a job here at Permanently Geek.
We're not going to pay you, but
Not gonna
we
pay
will
you.
bring you
God,
on
no.
the staff.
We'll bring you on our intern staff, our growing intern pool. But yeah, well, we have the film synced up to about 11 seconds. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away is currently on screen. So cue it up to that. You can either just listen to this podcast style, just while you're on your way to work, while you're at the gym, whatever. Or you can sync it up with the movie, the Blu-ray, the DVD, the digital copy, your pirated copy if you're an asshole, or
Which
If
drops
you're an asshole.
if you're an asshole. That's Yoda.
the film is available Tuesday. What's that date?
April 4th.
No, 5th.
5th?
It's
Yeah, it's
Tuesday,
the 3rd.
right?
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday, yep.
So here we go. You ready, folks, at home? 3, 2, 1. Play has been pressed. It's going. Now we're 12 seconds. 13, 14, 15. Star Wars is on the screen telling us the Force is awakening. You ever notice how like the stars have gotten a little bit bluer?
Yeah.
Have
They've
they?
shifted.
Yeah.
They were kind of monochromatic originally, and
Yeah.
now they've got a
Episode
little blue
7.
tinge.
Yeah.
Who's gonna do the dramatic reading of the crawl?
I'll do it.
Randy
All
will
right.
do it.
I'm gonna do it. Luke Skywalker has vanished. In his absence, the sinister First Order has risen from the ashes of the Empire and will not rest until Skywalker, the last Jedi, has been destroyed. With the support of the Republic, General Leia Organa leads a brave resistance. She is desperate to find her brother Luke and gain his help in restoring peace and justice to the galaxy. Leia has sent her most daring pilot on a secret mission to Jakku, where an old ally has discovered a clue to Luke's whereabouts. Ellipses plus 1 additional period.
See, at first that sort of started out a little bit like Emperor-esque, and it seemed to turn into like an old lady who would start scolding you.
I felt
at
like
the
a
end.
character in a Harry Potter story.
Or like, do you remember Evelyn Quince's Tales of Ribaldry from Saturday Night Live?
Yes.
I feel like we're about to begin on a tale of ribaldry. Oh my!
The phallic object enters the screen and eclipses the giant balls.
Oh,
Things shoot out
how
its side.
ribald!
The whole commentary isn't going to be that.
No,
political.
God,
Oh,
no.
God.
I would not listen to that commentary. That's it.
Do
I
folks.
would
not
not
turn
participate.
off the commentary.
I would
Yeah.
not participate in that commentary.
So this is Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens.
I'm gonna try not to fangirl too hard in this. Is it, okay, this is something I've been trying to figure out. Is it okay for a guy to refer to his actions as fangirling, or is that
Seems slightly sexist.
That's what I was thinking. So I take that back. I'm gonna fanboy so hard about this movie. I really am.
I'm going to fan person.
I am going to
so
fan person
hard.
this film.
I'm going to fan person all over this movie.
Now, most of the commentaries, there was one person who hadn't seen the film. I think episode 4, all of us had seen
Yes.
it.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
Alex had not seen any of the films,
Right.
correct? So the ones that he was involved in, and I had not seen the Ewok film that I was on the commentary for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we usually had someone who hadn't seen the film, which offered a different perspective, but all of us have definitely seen this movie.
Yes, multiple times in theaters.
Yes.
We have paid to see it more than once.
I have a particularly kind of interesting story about this one in that in January, I was driving to New Orleans. I was going through a bit of a hard time and was driving down to New Orleans to take a vacation. And I stopped in Nashville for the night to just kind of, give myself a little bit of a rest from the long journey. And I'm looking up online and I find out there is a 70 millimeter version IMAX of Star Wars The Force Awakens within 5 minutes of where I am. And the show starts, when I look it up, the show starts in 15 minutes. And I'm like, I live in Cleveland. IMAX, like we have an IMAX here, but it's terrible.
Yeah, we sort of have an IMAX.
Yeah, it's not very, very good. And yeah, like so I'm like, I have to go see it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I have to go see it.
That's a
and
must.
so then what I do is I drive down there. I go and I buy my ticket. I walk into the theater. I am the only person. It's me and Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens in 70 millimeter IMAX.
Oh,
my
man.
own private theater. I felt
get
like
to-
Michael Jackson.
You get to pick your seat. That's beautiful.
Yeah, just incredible. Like, it was.
LeBron James doesn't even get
I
that
know,
treatment.
I felt like LeBron. I felt like I was like the coolest person ever. I'm like, I'm not the coolest person ever.
We've watched
Yet.
films with LeBron
But-
in the same theater.
Yeah, I actually have. We've
He
watched
doesn't get the
movies
whole
with
theater
LeBron.
to himself. You did.
Yeah, we met LeBron. It was fun. It was a good time.
So the
LeBron lives like right near us, so
Yeah,
we
yeah.
will every once in a while run into him.
So the old dude that was the one that he was meeting with here at the beginning, Lor Santeca is the name, which the guy who's in silhouette right there.
Yeah.
Which some people have theorized that the name structure means that he came from a similar sort of origin as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Laura Santeca.
Lor Santeca.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've
buy
also
that.
read that some people think he's Boba Fett.
What?
Yeah.
like just without the helmet and he came out of the
Yeah.
the Sarlacc pit.
Some have speculated that's who he is. 'Cause he's Boba Fett. I've heard a bunch of different speculation about who he is, but he might also have been a Sith Lord at one point.
Okay, not how I would have expected Boba Fett to have aged, but
Well,
given that we know what
We don't know anything about what he would be like if he got out of that pit, but he mentions having seemingly difficult dealings with the princess in the past.
All right.
He refers to her as princess, and then kind of says, we haven't always gotten along.
All right. That's going to be a hard sell theory to me, just because given that Boba Fett was a clone, and we know what his clone
I
source
agree.
looked like
I
as
agree.
an adult, and it wasn't very much like that.
Yeah.
dude. I'm not putting much stock in that, but
We'll see. I feel like there has to be something, because you don't get an actor like Max von Sydow in a
Right.
movie
No,
unless
I'm-
there
For
is something
nothing.
bigger.
I'm expecting that we're going to learn more about his backstory probably in Rogue Squadron. That's my guess.
My guess is that in Rogue Squadron, he is going to be one of the primary characters.
Right.
I wouldn't even be
I
surprised
concur.
if the guy from Hannibal, what is his name? Matt? Is it like Mads Mikkelsen or something?
Oh yeah,
like that?
Mads Mikkelsen.
Mikkelsen.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's who
That would
Mads
be
Mikkelsen
excellent
is.
casting to age into
Yeah.
into that dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can absolutely see that.
Max von Sydow, who now looks the age of his character in The Exorcist. Finally, which is so crazy because when I was a kid, I had no idea that The Exorcist that was all makeup. I thought he was just old. When the first time I saw it, I was just like, Max von Sydow must be 70. And then I found out Max von Sydow was like 70, at the point that I'm like, oh, he was like 50 when he did that. That's crazy.
He was an old priest and a young priest.
Yeah.
This is kind of amusing reading it instead of hearing
Yes.
Adam Driver's voice and all of this. There was
Because we're
there was
watching
a
it with-
line. Yeah, we have to watch it with subtitles so that the audio doesn't interfere with our commentary here. But there's this one line that just happened where Kylo Ren says, I'll show you the dark side, and I'm really like, I'll show you the dark side.
That's a little
I
different.
want to do like a Kylo Ren's other voice. I'll show you the dark side. He's like whiny Anakin. Nah, I'm so sad. Humor. Something that Batman versus Superman didn't have.
Oh, let's not go there.
No.
Do we have to bring sad things into something that we like?
So joyous.
This is such a fun, this is a fun movie.
It's not perfect. It's
not perfect.
I'll say it
It
right
doesn't
up
have to
front.
be
It's
perfect.
not perfect, and there are some moments that I will point out in the film that I still don't even. This is now my fourth. I've seen it several times through. There's still some things that I don't completely get, so I'll bring those up. But I will say I enjoy the hell out of this movie, and I'm really happy to be watching it again. So
yeah, it's a crowd pleaser. It's not a perfect film. Unfortunately, I think it does follow the New Hope formula a little too much. I think it plays on emotional beats really well. And it does a really good job bringing the characters back to life and introducing mystery back into the Star Wars universe,
Absolutely.
which is something that the prequels just spend the entire time trying desperately to explain the entire universe. And this film just says, here's the universe. There are plenty of mysteries to be had here. We're not going to give them all to you in the first movie. You're going to get little bits and pieces, and probably by the time it's all done, you're still not going to get everything.
Yep.
Because there's going to be books and comic books and all kinds of other things that are going to flesh it out and make this universe more real.
Is the difference between trying to realize a universe by making you feel it, or sitting you down and telling you the entire history of it? And I mean, feeling it is going to be a better experience every time.
Yeah.
When I did when we all did the commentaries for the Star Wars prequels in particular, I really noticed how the old films sort of have this sort of fantasy mystery aspect, and the new films seem deeply influenced by Star Trek and the sort of logic-centered universe.
That was very similar to a point that I was just about to make. So for me, I'm actually not bothered by the fact that it borrows a lot of beats from A New Hope.
Me neither.
Because A New Hope was sort of, for its era, it was the retelling of the classic hero's journey story. This person, coming from being nothing and discovering, it's the King Arthur Sword in the Stone story. It's telling that story, and so it really, like, while it seemed like something fresh and new, it really was just borrowing all of these story beats from all of these things that had come before it. So for me, this film is doing that, except as its primary source material, it's using the first one of these films to once again tell the beginning of the hero's journey. And the thing about it is, like, there are stories in every culture that have that same kind of structure, and they were passed down by word of mouth from person to person, and as they moved across the world, they took on new nuances with different names to the characters, and so I feel like starting again with Star Wars with it's not the same story, but it's the next generation of this legend that's been passed down, and it's the new hero's journey. I kind of think it makes sense given the traditions of storytelling, and here we can tell a story to a new generation, and it's not going to be exactly the same as what we saw when we were kids, but it's going to have a lot of the same beats, and it's going to make you feel the way that story made you feel. And so for me, it doesn't bother me.
Absolutely.
She just went down the hill there, and that looks like the best ride ever.
That looks like so much fun, and I love the
Will that
music
be at Disney
cue.
World?
Oh, I hope that's at Disney World.
I love the music cue that's in this part. Like, it's just so fun and quirky.
I also just noticed that when Finn puts on the helmet, it then cuts to her, and she's wearing like goggles, and it looks like her goggles are crafted. The lenses are crafted from the Stormtrooper helmet. The lenses look like the lenses that are in the Stormtrooper.
It would make sense, given that, well, there were probably a lot of dead
she's probably cobbled
stormtroopers
pieces together.
in that Star Destroyer that you know.
Brilliant shot. Just Now this stuff I don't think works as well. Some of the practical puppetry
that
kind of looks
shot,
a little cheap.
Yeah.
Was that practical effect, that bird?
Yes.
It also reminds me a little bit too much of the shot with the like gopher or groundhog in Indiana Jones 4.
Yeah. Like I like the stuff in like this guy in the background with the mechanical arms carrying the thing. Like that's really clever. It's such a fascinating movie. I do like this concept that she goes into the Star Destroyer here and takes like a power supply later on in the movie, and this is something that so many people miss. It's later on in the movie, she disables the power in the station at Starkiller Base by taking out the same power thing.
Really?
Yes.
So they set up how she knew how to do that.
She knew how to do it.
That's actually really clever. That's something I had missed.
This is one of those things when everybody calls her Mary Sue.
Right,
It's
which
like, she showed you that she's good at it.
I completely disagree with that because, again, she makes her living by scavenging the Empire's technology.
Right.
The First Order being descended from the Empire, and obviously the technology being descended from the Empire. Things are going to work in a lot of the same ways, and the power converters are going to be the same kind of things that that she was, finding inside that Star Destroyer.
It's also really funny that Luke wanted to go to Tashi's station to pick up some power converters, and this story starts with her picking up power converters.
I will
adding more credence that maybe she's Luke's kid.
Which, I do love all the theories flying back and forth about, what her connection to Luke is. My absolute favorite, which I give absolutely zero chance of being correct, is that Luke, they inseminated like thousands of women across the galaxy with Luke's seed to try to breed the next
Jedi population.
To increase the Jedi population, and so he's just got kids all over the galaxy that have all been left behind in these desolate spots.
He just
similar
stays
to where he grew up. So
on this hill,
exactly, so
waiting for the next kid to show up.
Waiting for someone that's like, so you're my first one that's come through.
She might not even be the first one.
Exactly. So, but she's the one who brought the lightsaber. So obviously she did her. But
she was the
on
royal.
every desert planet, so he picks planets that are similar to the one where he grew up, because this is Jakku and not Tatooine. So every desert planet across the galaxy has some abandoned child of Luke Skywalker in the hopes
does that mean
one of them.
Does it mean like 10 years of Luke's life was just him jerking off into cups?
Wasn't there like a Vince Vaughn movie that was like
yeah,
where he had like a bunch
Man.
of we had a bunch of like children from
remake of a
donations.
French film, which I can't remember what
exactly. Which that's my favorite fan theory. I give it like 0% chance of being true,
right.
But I think it's hilarious that in the hopes of like starting the next generation of the Jedi, Luke's just got like kids spread all around the galaxy on every desolate planet there is.
If episode 8 is called Seed of the Jedi, we'll know that that's probably a confirmed. We can do a video and call it confirmed in all caps.
And we'll just play the clip of me saying this. Confirmed. Oh, that's so great.
I like how this guy just like walks away. He's just like, okay, you're just gonna take this robot from me.
Yep.
I'm not gonna fight you about it.
I'm scared of you. She's intimidating.
Maybe she's Darth Maul's kid because of the.
She does have the staff, the staff skills.
That would be so stupid.
Maybe she's beat him up a few times.
Maybe she has.
That I would believe was he's just like, I'm not messing with you. I know you can kick my ass.
I think her being Obi-Wan's kid is probably my maybe favorite theory. Her not being related at all is interesting, though. I mean, it wouldn't be satisfying if she wasn't related to somebody.
Yeah, I think
making her a Skywalker is just so simple.
Right.
Making her a Kenobi is fascinating because we don't know anything about Obi-Wan.
I actually that's the one that I think will be. I'm not going to say most likely, but I think it will be very satisfying if that ends up being the case. But the story, even down to the original trilogy and going back into the prequel trilogy, the story of Star Wars is so much about bloodlines, and the way that these get passed down.
It's a family soap opera.
Exactly, and it goes back to the sort of hero's journey of discovering that you thought you were nobody, that was you were the piss boy that was working in the worst possible conditions, and you discover that you came from greatness and that you have a great destiny ahead of you. And so I think the bloodline part of it is sort of important to the kind of stories that they're telling here. So I'd be surprised if she were just some random, force sensitive person.
I also think it's interesting that all three of our main characters of this film, Rey, Finn, and Kylo Ren, are all introduced first wearing goggles, wearing helmets.
Yeah.
And that was perfect timing right there. She talks about my family. They will come back one day. Yeah, you don't set up that kind of narrative if her family doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, if they're not someone notable.
I feel like it's not Skywalker only because Leia and Han Solo do not seem to know her at all.
Unless
seems really unlikely.
Unless Luke has babies all over the place, and then and that takes everything. Like, well, he looks sort of like him, but nah. But no, I agree, and I hope it's not that she's Luke's kid.
If she's Luke's kid, I'm okay with it. I just
feel like do something with it.
It creates then a weird conundrum of why did Luke get rid of her? The only theory I can think is that the problem with the Skywalker bloodline is it's this temptation to evil is so vast.
Right, that he believes that his bloodline is poisoned.
Yeah.
And that the call to the dark side is too strong. And that, I think you can tell that he felt, he obviously felt it. And that might be why he's chosen to isolate himself.
Yeah.
And that also could be why he decided to, dump his daughter on some godforsaken planet. And if she never discovers what she can do with the Force, if she never learns about the Jedi and is never trained, then she can't end up going over to the dark side. So I could buy that as well. It's kind of a dick move, like, well, I don't think I can train you right, so peace.
Yeah, that's what makes me think it's I'd say my kind of biggest gripe with this movie is the fact that I never really feel in the story like The Force Awakens. I feel like that title was chosen to sort of get people excited about the movie, but. And, to sort of say, hey, the universe of Star Wars is back.
Right.
And that's really what The Force Awakens is. But, even when the character says there's been an awakening, have you felt it? I don't feel it in the movie. I don't really know what's going on. I feel like it would be much more fascinating if just a bunch of random people who prior to this moment had no Jedi power. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there are dozens of new people who have Jedi
and
abilities.
that was actually what I was sort
Poe
of
Dameron
expecting.
has it.
I was kind of expecting that all three of
I got the bumps. I got the goosebumps.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I bumped out for that one.
You're not even joking.
No, because that idea makes me like that's exciting.
Right.
Like holy shit,
I had
the
actually,
power of the Force.
One of the and I hadn't seen this theory going around a lot, but I actually had the thought that all three of the primary characters we saw in the trailer, Poe, Finn, and Rey, they all started showing Force sensitivity at the same time.
And New Republic goes after all of them.
Right.
They want all of them.
And that was something that I thought might happen. I think that could have been really interesting. Like all of a sudden, there's been an awakening. Like, that would have justified the title of the film.
Yeah. It feels like, particularly from the trailers, it felt like that's what they were going to do with this. That, Poe was gonna have Jedi abilities, and Finn would have them, and Rey would have them, and the story would be about trying to get these people to Luke in order to, I don't know, save them or whatever.
I appreciate that the graphics on their targeting computers almost look exactly like the Empire Strikes Back classic arcade game that we were playing last night.
We were at the 16-bit barcade in Cleveland and Lakewood, and they have a ton of classic arcade games that you can play, and we were playing Empire Strikes Back.
We didn't get past the second trench run.
No.
But
it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun, and the
blast.
vector graphics, it was all vector graphics that look exactly like the targeting computers that they show in here.
That's an arcade machine I would genuinely try to find. I think I would try to find that arcade machine.
That would be
That's
a fun
probably
one,
a pricey one because of the vector. Vector's such an interesting concept. I really love the sound of Kylo Ren's voice. I remember when I first saw this, when he first spoke, I was like, "Ooh, I don't know. That sounds cheap." But then I kind of liked that it sound like I kind of like how different from Vader it sounds and how unique and distinct it is to its own personality, and I think that has equal amount of value.
And I kind of like a lot of things about Kylo Ren's outfit, because it does in a lot of ways feel like a kid trying to cosplay as his hero, but not really having the pieces. Like the way that the metal that curves around his face is like,
the helmet kind of has the similar symmetry in the back.
Yeah, it's got the similar shape, but it looks like it was, whereas Vader's looks like it was manufactured and was like, custom molded and built just for him. Kylo's looks like he made it himself.
Yeah.
Like it looks like he cobbled it together from pieces and built it because he wanted to look badass like his grandpa.
Yeah. This character, I wish we had a little bit more of him. He's fascinating. Hux, I believe, is his name.
Yep.
I wanted to see more. I assume as the sequels go on, we're going to get a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm sad. I don't want to sit here and spend the entire time criticizing the film, but I don't really like Jakku very much. I'm sorry. I just think it's small. It feels contained. I don't understand why anybody would live there at all. I don't know why anybody would be like, yeah, I'm going to live here. I don't know why, like when there are ships sitting around, like just steal one and fly off.
Right.
Like you don't need, this is a shithole. It's so small. It feels like they just went in the middle of the desert and created this tiny little thing, and that's all it was. And I think it would have been cool to be there for a little bit, but it's almost a third of the film that they're on Jakku. It's like almost too much of Jakku, and I didn't find Jakku to be interesting enough to necessitate that. And what the fuck was this blowing up sand thing? I don't know.
Well, she did give the warning about the what did she call it? Rey gave a warning about a specific type of sand that you have to be careful about.
Explosive sand.
Yeah, it was it's basically like weird quicksand sinkholes type, that sort of thing.
Fracking has happened a lot on
exactly
Jakku.
Well, that's probably why Jakku is important. There's a lot of natural gas under those sands.
Gotta take the gas out of Jakku. Coming in and taking the gas.
I can't remember what exactly happens here. How he gets to the village now.
He uses the Force.
Well, I mean that's. So they crash landed onto Jakku, which is a planet.
Yep.
Yeah.
What are the statistical chances he'd be anywhere near this tiny ass village?
Yeah, like if I was hurtling toward Earth and I could land in Italy.
Right.
and it could take me months.
Look, he's within
depending on what era it is.
of the village that they needed to go to.
Maybe it's a really tiny planet.
I mean, still,
like the moon is small, but it would still take you like a long
the
time to walk
from
point A to point B.
The planet could be the size of Ohio. He still wouldn't necessarily be within walking distance of the village that he needed to go to.
I want to be part of a marathon on the moon, the world's first
moon marathon.
Moonathon. You have to run around the entire moon, which you could probably do because your muscles wouldn't get sore. You would just be bouncing. It'd be awesome, actually. You'd just be like, "Woo! This is the best marathon ever!"
And
I think
having a great time.
Of course, the Star Wars films do provide the perfect fan-wanking outlet for anything, which is you just say the Force is the reason that he crash landed.
That's what I'm hoping. Like what you're talking about, like, you know, that these three main characters all start tapping into the Force. I'm hoping that ends up being the explanation, because not only was he within walking distance, he walked in the correct direction. There is no way that could statistically happen. So I'm really hoping that you do find out that he has Force capabilities too. And
I think they kind of pointed themselves in the general direction before they lost control of the ship. But yeah, I agree. This village is like so small. It feels too small.
I mean,
like,
it's
I think
more
about Tatooine,
of a, like, trading outpost than actual like village. And
but like, where do these people live then? If it's a trading outpost, you think there'd be houses, like huts, like in Tatooine. It just feels like they were trying to keep this production under wraps and didn't want to build anything too elaborate because there'd be a bunch of set photos.
I think one of the things that I'm curious about, because, you know, the reason that they're the downed Star Destroyers and all of that is because the Battle of Jakku was apparently an important turning point in the war that, you know, that followed Return of the Jedi, and so obviously, to me at least, Jakku must have been a significant location, and so I don't know why.
Yeah, because it's kind of like, you know, it feels like New Mexico a little bit, in that there's probably just like a lot of desert land. There's like a lot of desert land in New Mexico, and it's sparsely populated. It has some dense spots, but it's not necessarily a really densely populated place. It's like if a big battle happened there, like it wouldn't be like. That wouldn't be the turning point in.
It's probably a serious meth issue on Jakku, and
Walter White came to Jakku and started
the meth thing. The meth thing actually is a real problem in New Mexico. Though. It
is actually. I was in New Mexico once, and a homeless guy kind of walked up to me and asked me for money, and he had blue snot. And to this day, I have no idea why his snot was blue, but I have a feeling it had something to do with meth.
Yeah.
But. It was blue. Why was it blue? Was he an alien? I don't understand.
I love BB-8's motions there, where he's kind of like scooting around, and so he kind of reminds me of Dee Dee.
He's a little bit like our cat Dee Dee. Dee Dee is adorable. She's my cat. She's a good cat.
She like situates herself similarly to that, and then little head dips.
So this is a plot point that's just been introduced, where he's, you know, saying that he's from the Resistance. So this is a plot device that I don't know why, but it's one of the ones that anytime it's used in a movie or a book, it makes me incredibly uncomfortable. It is one of the, like, my least favorite plot devices.
Lying?
Because, well, the posing as someone that you're not. Like
There's
someone
no
who's
point.
supposed to be one
There's
of the
absolutely no point.
But one of the good guys posing as someone they're not, and like trying to keep up that appearance. Yeah. It's one of those things that makes me feel weird inside, and so I'm really happy that they didn't keep it up for too long.
Yeah.
Well, like as soon as like he revealed that he wasn't actually with the Resistance, like I actually like relaxed in the theater. I'm like, okay, they're not gonna keep that up. Like it makes me tense and uncomfortable. And it's just one of those
sitcom convention.
Yes.
It is.
Exactly.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Or you know, it's like one of those like cheesy 80s movies where someone like is posing as something that they're not. And you know they're going to get found out in some hilarious way. And so I was really glad that wasn't, you know, that he revealed it himself before he got found out in the worst kind of way.
This is the sequence that was shot in IMAX. Unfortunately, on the Blu-ray of the film, they did not include the IMAX footage in its slightly more proper IMAX frame, which would be 178:1.
Gotcha.
But you'll notice a pretty significant resolution bump right here. Like it looks, the print looks much cleaner here now. Yeah, but see, there's a ship right there. They could just people could just leave. Jock, you can leave. Like people can leave.
Well,
that's, I mean, I know like Rey stays. I get that.
Yeah, she's waiting for someone.
Yeah, because she's weird.
What
but
are all of you waiting for?
She's a weirdo. Rey's a weirdo.
I mean, there's always the potential, because the reason that people were on Tatooine was that it was outside of the control of the Empire, and therefore, you know, people that were doing underhanded dealings, they would be in, essentially the outer rim. And so there was a reason there. We haven't been told there's any equivalent reason of why people would be here.
Yeah.
So
it's just not as well thought out as I think it should have been.
Yeah.
It's not bad. I just wish we'd spend a little less time there, and I don't know. The action sequences here are spectacular. I feel like this should have been the opening of the film should not have been on Jakku. It should have been somewhere else. And then they crash on Jakku, which would have added more credence to the idea that the Force is driving the story rather than the narrative itself or the logic of the narrative.
In some ways, though, having Lor San Tekka not far from Rey seems similar to,
like he's watching after her,
just like Obi-Wan did with Luke. So that kind of thing of having that parallel of like someone with that name structure who's a old dude that looks kind of wise and wizardish, nearby as the person watching over the one that they that is going to be important.
I keep hearing people talk about how there's going to be flashbacks, like, oh, they're gonna, spoiler alert if you don't know, like you're gonna see Han Solo again in flashbacks. I keep seeing people say like flashbacks, and I'm like, when in Star Wars history have there been flashbacks?
Yeah.
There have never been flashbacks in the Star Wars stories, to my knowledge. I'm trying to think of like any moments. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments or something, but I'm pretty sure there are no flashbacks in any of the Star Wars movies.
People who have died will appear to
Yes.
people using the Force and speak to them. That's far more likely to be what happens.
But yeah, I mean, there were the flash forwards in dreams that Anakin had, like, there were, but I don't remember like flashbacks like previously on Star Wars.
Yeah, that's never happened. So if they do it, it'll be a first for the series. Yeah. I'm not opposed to it. I just think it, you have a 7-film legacy now that you don't really want to just introduce some new kind of plot conceit to the story's narrative template. Like you said, it has a sort of soap opera, mythological soap opera kind of tone. Like it's weird to introduce stuff that could be in another episode of...
Right, exactly. I do love this action sequence. I really do.
Yeah, can I just take this moment to talk about how much I love the character of Rey, what they've done with her. I loved her introduction to Finn, where she just goes and beats the ever-loving shit out of him.
He grabs her hand.
Where she's like, stop taking my hand. But then when he's on the ground, she offers him her hand because she's in control of the situation. This is her turf. She knows what she's doing. And they never talk about like, oh, whoa, you're a girl and you just beat me up.
I'm a girl,
Are you sure you know how to fly this thing? You're a girl. Like, there's no mention of her being a woman and that being in contrast with the things she can do.
Yep.
And I love that so much.
Yeah. It's treated more as something that the audience can get from it.
Right.
I think in the George Lucas version, there probably would be specific points about her being a woman. And
for a woman, you're sure bossy.
Yeah,
there would be that Han-Leia dynamic of like, well, princess, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, even Han treats her with really kind of no acknowledgement of it. It's just sort of... she's just somebody he likes. He likes her.
Well, once she proves herself as a trustworthy and capable person, he wants her on his team. And that's all he looks for in people is, are you capable? Can you handle yourself? Awesome, you're part of my crew.
One thing that I really enjoyed once the film came out was I remember earlier on in production, they were like when some of the cast was announced, there were a lot of complaints about how few women and people of color there were in the cast. And then it comes around that the hero is female, a complete badass, and like kind of second primary character, black dude.
Which I feel like was something that came out of that criticism. I have a pretty distinct feeling that Rey was not... At one point in the very early development of this, Rey was probably not the primary character, and Finn was probably not the primary character. Something tells me Poe was Finn.
Okay.
And Rey was going to be a boy, and
Rey with an A.
Then the decision to change it. Maybe Rey was always part of the idea, but it felt a little like there was a developmental changes that happened as a result of.
And I think, well, if it was as a reaction, then hats off to them because I love it.
Well, and
like,
that they
it's great.
still, if that is how it went down, yeah, hats off for doing it.
Mm-hmm.
A, B, not calling attention to, hey, look, it's a woman doing, it's still not like calling out, congratulations on doing that. It just feels very natural.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The only real moment, like guy-girl sort of obvious moment is when he asks her if she has a boyfriend.
Right.
Which is cute and funny and, is meant to be kind of funny. It's meant to be a funny scene. God, this is going to be memed. This is going to be the classic, this is the downfall scene, the famous Hitler scene.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen, there was one for Batman versus Superman fairly recently, in which the guy's like, the reviews for Batman Superman are in, and he's like, and he's like, movie's not any good. The reviews are really bad. People say it's the worst Batman movie ever, and he's like, I pre-ordered IMAX tickets, and starts flinging the lightsaber around.
I do love that as a character moment for him because it points out something really important about his character at that point, which is that he's filled with rage, but he's not evil in that he doesn't kill the messenger. Like he has not turned the corner to being just straight up evil. He takes out his anger and his frustration on an inanimate object as opposed to just straight up killing the messenger, which Darth Vader would have just killed that dude and it would have been next man up.
We just missed a great moment.
Was it the thumbs up?
BB-8 thumbing up.
BB-8 thumbs up. I do love
So
that.
good.
Fantastic.
I've sent people that GIF more than a few times.
Yeah, that's a good GIF. There's so many GIFable moments. That's how they're quantifying films now. They're like, we need a GIFable moment in this scene.
I do think that BB-8 was a great triumph as well.
Absolutely.
Because
BB-8 is everything Jar Jar isn't.
Exactly.
Perfect way to describe it.
Exactly. He succeeds in every single way that Jar Jar fails. He's appealing to the childish nature in all of us. He's adorable. You really want to have your own little remote control BB-8, which you can get. That.
You can get multiple versions of.
Exactly. Like, yeah, he's another great little character.
Great
moment
little
there
moment
where...
with Rey saying "Get off!" as Finn puts his hands on her head to climb up the glass. It's great.
But
well,
no, I love
glass.
I love BB-8. I think that truly one of the great triumphs of the film was managing to make BB-8 so dead on perfect to
Absolutely.
And my understanding is that BB-8 is actually a female droid. Droids are they are in fact gendered, and BB-8 is considered female.
Well, knowing that, isn't it Bill Hader that does like?
It's like Bill Hader and Ben Schwartz. I want to say the guy was like.
All I can think of is like a little mini Bill Hader inside of the costume.
It's great.
Which is hilarious.
They just did such a good job with it. I feel bad for George for, he really wanted Jar Jar to work, and I just think it was filled with too much, as I called it, must-see TV style, like TGIF.
Yep. Did
like
I do that?
Boom! Harrison Ford.
And
Harrison
there they
Ford's
are.
in this? Holy fucking shit.
God damn.
And Peter
Chewie,
Mayhew.
we're home.
Chewie, we're home. Chewie's like, this isn't my home. My home is Kashyyyk.
You make me work on this.
I'm your slave. Been your slave for years. I hate it. There we go. Han Solo looking grumpy,
Yep.
but looking good.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now, was this film before or after the Falcon fell on him during production?
I have no idea. I'm sure if there's a commentary on here, and I am not really, I really don't.
we
know
were
whether
we
there
were
is or not,
talking
but-
we were talking in one of the previous commentaries about like how close to dying Harrison Ford came like multiple times during the production of this, like crashing planes and things like that.
No commentary on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually I read an article about how it's going to cost a lot of money to insure him for the next Indiana Jones movie. One, because he's going to be like 76, and two,
just because he's so accident prone
because
in his life.
the Millennium Falcon fell on him, and
he crashed a plane into a golf course.
into a golf course, which was an extraordinary piece of piloting. Not going to lie.
Yeah, crashing it was not the bad part. He landed it without killing people.
He landed it without killing or hurting a single person.
Where he put it was masterful.
He flew around.
Putting it where he put it.
He put himself in danger because he was. I think he was like the engine had stalled.
He's good at putting it where he put it.
The engine had stalled, and he actually maneuvered himself at the risk of his own life. Maneuvered himself out of the way of houses. If you could listen to the call, like the radio call of him talk about this, he says, they're pretty much telling him put it down wherever, and he's like, no, there's houses here. I can't put it down, like I could kill somebody. So Harrison Ford.
Good job, Harrison Ford.
Good job, Harrison Ford. If you're listening, and you definitely are not listening, you don't give a shit about Star Wars. You don't give a shit about us. You watch some of our other shows though, so thank you. Thanks for the comments, Harrison Ford.
Honestly, I thought he did a phenomenal job in like playing the Han character one more time,
absolutely.
And which is impressive given that he is Harrison Ford, and it's so hard to avoid the Harrison Fordiness of him that he still managed to inhabit this character so well that you forget that it's Harrison Ford, and you really do see him as being Han Solo in the role, which well done. You could have phoned it in, you didn't.
Yeah, these sets are really kind of beautiful. They're really well lit. Set design is just fantastic on this film, and really brings to life both the old universe and then just there's a lot of new visual elements to it. Visually, I think some of the effects and stuff are great, with the sole exception of these creatures. This is probably my least favorite scene in the entire film.
I find a lot of things about it problematic. First of all, why does he insist on BB-8 staying with him other than plot? Like, these people need to see BB-8 with him.
That's a solid
point.
Yeah.
He makes. She says, "What about BB-8?" And he's like, "He's staying with me." I'm like, "Why?"
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe he just likes the robot.
I mean, send him down below, because he's kind of a, hey, where the fuck did you get that droid? He's an instant like.
It's also possible because there was the like call that came out that there was a bounty for the droid. So maybe he was like, well, maybe I can at least get out of this with
some money,
picking up some cash for.
But that's even worse. He owes these people money. They may know about the bounty as well, and say, hey, you could give us that droid and we'll be even, and why would you want that?
So here's the scene that's been basically stolen from Guardians of the Galaxy, because it really feels something out of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Making two sour deals with other bounty hunter smuggly people, and
well, let's be honest. Star-Lord was basically Han Solo, so
yeah.
But it feels so out of place in this movie. It slows the movie down. I said the only reason why it never got cut, why it didn't get cut, is I think because Chewie gets shot. I think that's the only reason why it stays in the story.
Yeah. And one of my least favorite, what if you're familiar with TV tropes, are you familiar with the website TV Tropes? Great website if you want to lose an entire week of your life following link after link after link. It's sort of like a Wikipedia of story ideas and stock characters, and plot devices. So tropes. One of them is what's called plot armor, where the only reason that someone doesn't die is because the plot requires they survive. And you will see in this scene multiple instances of, well, the Rathtars killed this character and this character and this character. Immediately, for some reason, the main character survived, because obviously... Yeah, you see that happening right there.
Yeah, like there's no competition here. This thing is just killing the shit out of people.
Yeah.
I also think this was here to kind of sort of fix the Han shot first moment, because there's a bit where Han grabs one of the random people and then throws him right here.
Right here.
Throws him right to the monster. Yep. And that was a Han shot first sort of moment in that.
Yep. He's like, he has no compunction about someone who's going to
kill him.
Doesn't
Doesn't
just
care.
like throwing him to the metaphorical wolves.
Yeah, I think those are the
Raptors.
two. This was probably one of those, kill your darling sort of moments for J.J. Abrams, where this whole bit was probably a bit of a darling moment for him, and something he maybe even wanted to do in Star Trek and just never got around to doing it, and so it ends up in this story.
Yep.
Because it also feels like something that fits in J.J. Abrams' Star Trek universe.
Right.
Some random
he
monster
is
gets
wearing
loose in
plot
the
armor.
Enterprise.
This is the example
Plot
of plot
armor.
armor. There's absolutely no reason that he just gets dragged for a long time, and she can chase him, and he's still being dragged even when
And she doesn't even get hit.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg is notorious for that.
Finn should already be in this monster's mouth.
Right.
For having giant CG fall right in front of characters. That's something that would annoyingly happen in the Jurassic Park movies. As a dinosaur falls right at their feet and misses them entirely. And it's like, that's not how life
Still
works.
being dragged.
This whole thing, still not dead, still being dragged.
This is the Force. The Force is awoken. This is the Force awakening here.
But yeah, so that's the biggest reason that I dislike this scene is because there's no reason that he should have gotten dragged that far that she could save him. Although
Also
again, I like
seems-
the fact that she's the one that saves him.
It
And
also
she doesn't
seems
even take credit for it.
Yep.
vaguely
That's true.
homage to the monster in the garbage chute in A New Hope.
And there's one shot with the rats are rolling towards Han. That's
Looks like the boulder,
It looks like the boulder from Indiana Jones. So
which was an intentional homage.
I figured it had to have been.
I have never ever understood how blasting the control panel opens doors. How does that work?
Well, this is a
happens
galaxy
all
far,
the
far
time.
away. We fixed that.
Oh, wait.
It's a long time ago, so we fixed that since then.
That's
Yeah,
right,
I mean,
that's
I think it's the when writers are still thinking in terms of like you can shoot the lock out on a door and you'll be able to open it. Well, that obviously will work in the future, right?
I
You
feel
shoot
like
the control panel and it
shooting the
just
control
opens.
panel is going to keep that door sealed forever.
Right. Exactly. I completely agree. Unless
no.
there's some sort of fail safe of like once the electronics stop functioning, they automatically open so they
For,
don't
like,
trap people in.
Like that's the fire code for the
Right.
ship.
Exactly. Like you got to have crash bars.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There are so
All
many
right.
homages in this scene.
I can deal with that.
The fire department has deemed it necessary.
And apparently, whatever freighter Han Solo had been piloting, has
Up to
proper.
code.
Yeah, it's up to code. The fire marshal came through and was like, "All right, when you shoot these control panels, the doors open as opposed to staying closed forever. You can continue being a smuggler."
See, you just told on him. Han has the droid
Yeah.
because plot.
Yeah. Star Killer Base. It is confusing-ish.
Yep.
I do like the idea that Snoke is Darth Plagueis. I also like the idea that it is the dark side inhabiting the body of Anakin Skywalker still.
Okay.
It's like this thing that's consumed a dead body, and it's like very Voldemort-like.
Okay.
But at the same rate, if it's just a random character that we don't know, I'm all right with it. This is also some of my least favorite CG is that creature. It's just he looks like the alien in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
One of my favorite, again going back to fan theories that have no chance of being correct, but one of my favorite theories is that he is in fact Jar Jar, and that Jar Jar is going to become the villain that we all wish he
was.
we all see him as already.
Something tells me we're never gonna see Jar Jar again.
I think you're right. There are like if you delve into it, there's some really convincing articles and YouTube videos of the idea that Jar Jar is in fact a Dark Jedi that was behind so many of the things that happened in the prequel trilogy.
But I think the show kind of redeems Jar Jar on the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Because I like the idea that they send him into situations because he is bumbling and like he is very unsuspecting.
Always the decoy.
He's the decoy,
Yeah.
and they learn how to use Jar Jar appropriately, which is
No, the Clone Wars does like, even though in the Clone Wars series when he appears, I still cringe It's like, oh, it's a Jar Jar episode.
Jar Jar episode.
They do use him in a immensely more appropriate way than he was used in the films. So given that the likelihood that Jar Jar is in fact Snoke is pretty low. Mm-hmm. And this is one of these things that there are probably very, very few people in the world. So growing up, I was homeschooled, and there were things that were very, very specific to my family culture that once I got into college and was no longer, mostly immersed in my family's culture, I realized that not everyone in the world knows about. One of them being a Commodore 64 game where you play a penguin, and that game is called Snokey. And so the name Snoke just makes me think of this adorable little penguin.
Snokey. The game picks up right where it left off. Fun fact.
Okay.
Except
I like the Chewie.
And then it's the other guy, the other character that bashes.
I like that Chewie sits up like, ooh, to play my game. I like the game. That's Candy Crush.
Chewie's that friend that just is always sending you
Farmville.
He's just sending you requests.
There's multiple things going on here that just happened. First of all, I think it's hilarious that Han Solo just called BB-8 Ball. He's like, move, Ball. I didn't notice that.
I never
in
noticed
previous
that. That's
viewings.
hilarious.
I saw it in the subtitles. He's like, move, Ball, which is great. When Rey does something great there, she removes a part that helps them circumnavigate a problem. He looks at her and goes, huh. And then he comes into this room and he congratulates Finn. He says, good job, kid, on something that Finn did. Mm-hmm. But as we go on, we see that he was way more impressed by what Rey did
because
he offers her the job.
Right. Mm-hmm.
He's like, whoa. This other guy is like, hey, good job. Whatever. It doesn't really register, but that actually meant a lot more to him, which I thought was interesting.
I'm showing them a picture of Snokey, the adorable little penguin from the Commodore 64 game. So that's what I think of when
Snokey.
When I hear the name Snoke.
I've heard a lot of criticism about the fact that Luke disappears. People are like, why did Luke...
It's all true.
Why did Luke disappear? Why would Luke do that? And it's sort of like, if you're the last Jedi and you're being hunted, you might not want to die.
Be like,
you may want to exile yourself.
I feel like if you're going to criticize that, what about Yoda?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It seems like the same thing that Yoda did.
Actually, what Yoda did was worse because Yoda was never conflicted about whether what he was doing was evil or not. Like Luke is removing himself from the situation because he understands his power and he's not sure whether it's being used for good or evil. So the best thing he feels like he can do is remove himself so it doesn't get used for evil.
Yeah.
Right, because he was I think if we understand the flashbacks and scenes and he was the one who was training Kylo Ren, and Kylo turned to the dark side, and so this is the first real student that Luke had, and he screwed it up. So
there are flashbacks in this film.
You are correct.
There are flashbacks in this film.
They're Force-induced flashbacks,
but they are flashbacks.
You're right. So this film may be the first one that had flashbacks.
Maybe Luke will teach her how to look back.
Okay. All right, I can buy that.
Because in the other films, always looking forward. Maybe Luke will teach her to look back. I'm getting the goosebumps again. The bumps that come into me.
It is impressive how much the hair on your arms actually stands on end.
When I get because that entices the idea of I really like that idea. I really like the idea that looking forward and back.
I was checking the back of your neck to see. If
there's
not enough
nothing
hair back there
nothing
to
stands
stand
up
on
back
end.
there. It's always on my arms.
That's.
I probably just grew my arm hair just grew
Are you sure you're not a werewolf? You're not. Are you teen wolfing right now?
I goosebump very easily.
Yeah, see, he's asking her to be part of the crew. Doesn't ask Finn.
Nope.
He's like, whatever, Finn.
He's like, yeah, that dude. But
you told me to touch that compressor button. That was interesting. Also, pretty sure I want to have sex with you. Just saying. Are you into 75-year-old guys? And Harry, he watches. He just watches. We have to create a sex act for this since we created sex acts.
Oh God, every single Star Wars movie. Oh, that's. Oh.
The Jakku sinkhole.
Oh.
That's where you take
There's an explosion at the end. We know that much.
You stick a firecracker in your asshole. You light it, and then you jam a micro machine of the TIE fighter into the ass, and then you watch it explode.
Oh, I hope no one tries that at home.
Do not try that at home.
Do not.
We are
please,
not responsible for any of that.
By the way, the fact that she's got a statue of herself above the
pretty egotistical.
Yeah, that's
It's badass.
I want to find out if she was like the Madonna of this year. Like she was a really famous musician, and like this is her temple now. Like she's kind of semi-retired and isn't really like playing music anymore, but she just owns a bar now.
I like that one of the flags that was hanging up there was the Mandalorian flag.
Oh, nice.
We just passed a werewolf character, which was an homage to a character that was deleted from George Lucas's special edition. There was a man in like a kind of a cheap looking werewolf costume. George Lucas hated it, and so when the special edition came out, he deleted that and put in a new creature. And the guy with the werewolf costume was an homage to.
By the way, I really like the music that they had in this scene that stopped briefly. It felt to me like
It was composed by somebody famous too.
Was it?
Yeah.
To me, it felt like something that Tom Waits would do. Like
look it up. It's worth looking up because
let me look that up because it's I really enjoyed it. And I like the fact that it was a very different vibe than like the Cantina music that was on Tatooine. Because obviously this is a parallel scene to that with all the different creatures. And there's a bar band playing.
There's so many homages.
I just saw today
pieces of homages here.
a Lego set of this scene, and it has a little Maz character that
I know.
comes
I want a
with
Maz
it.
Lego.
Awesome.
I want a Maz Lego
I
so
want
much.
it so much. It's got
Maz.
Maz and Kylo Ren, since he'll be appearing here in a bit.
Maz
and,
did not get nearly
Finn.
enough screen time in this movie.
No.
I think they were worried she wasn't going to work.
Maybe they'll work her into future installments.
Because you never see her escape this battle.
Right.
And she actually is the one who gives the lightsaber to
and
Leia,
she says,
which is in the trailer.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But she says here in the next scene, that's a story for another time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that she'll be in another installment giving us that story.
Something tells me Maz is like your new Yoda character. But we'll see.
That'd be cool.
Grandfather. I love you, Grandpa.
Papa.
You're the best, Grandpa. I love you.
Pappy.
I love you, Pappy. Pop, pop.
Pop, pop.
I love you, Pop, pop. You're the best.
Apparently the Cantina music was composed by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is behind Hamilton.
Yeah.
That has been recently.
Oh, very.
They were on.
Very on trend.
Oh yes.
Yeah, they were on. I think they were on Jimmy Fallon, and they talked about how him and J.J. Abrams like know each other, and he was like, "Man, if you do like a Cantina scene, can I do the music for it?"
That's
and
awesome.
then when he took the job, he was like, "Hey, you want to do Cantina? You want to do that?" And he was like, "Yes, I do." So yeah, that's how we ended up doing
But
it.
yeah, I love the vibe of it. It's I'm a huge Tom Waits fan, and it feels very like Alien Tom Waits, like Rain Dogs.
It's like guacamole and
Mule
apple.
Variations era Tom Waits.
Yeah. The thing that she is eating looks like guacamole and an apple, which makes me want to try that.
Yeah.
I'm actually really hungry right now. So
Right?
I know, me too.
who's got guacamole in
We
an
have like an
apple?
hour left. I am starving.
Oh, man, this is no good. We're
We're
coveting alien food right now, guys.
like we have no idea. It could taste like semen for all we know. I have no idea.
It don't matter.
I don't know what it tastes like. This whole thing about her seeing the eyes and realizing the eyes is fascinating because there was a deleted element of Empire Strikes Back, which was written by Lawrence Kasdan, and this was written by Lawrence Kasdan as well, in which Cloud City is actually founded by clones, and Lando was meant to be a clone,
Okay.
and not just a regular person. He was just a clone, and like the entire town is like the entire city is inhabited with ex-clones who have left their slavery bonds and have formed a peaceful community here, away from everybody else. And that's why he is so protective of Cloud City.
Okay.
It gives you motivation for
That's
who he
really
is.
interesting, yeah.
And it was George Lucas didn't like it, and so it got cut. This whole I've read a lot of speculation that he is a clone of Lando, and that's why she recognizes his eyes, because she has seen these eyes before. I don't know whether that's true. That he's supposed to be engineered, so I don't know. We'll see.
And there was the whole discussion. I think it between.
I don't want him to be Lando's
Hux and the Chrome Trooper. I'm blanking on
Captain Phasma.
Yes, Phasma.
The most underwhelming character in the film.
Right.
Very disappointed that she wasn't developed more.
She was disappointing enough that there were a lot of theories that were like circling about like maybe she's an insider, maybe she's actually like there are a lot of theories about people who might actually be working inside the organization.
Do you know the common theory as to who it is?
I'm not sure if I do.
The little girl from the Ewok live action films
is Captain Phasma.
There's actually a few minor clues. It's so I kind of am okay with that because that would be hilarious. But
delight in that.
Yeah, it would just be a really fun piece of trivia. But I think that maybe being a spy or an insider would be a fascinating one. Yeah, it's so unexplored.
Right.
That's what I didn't like about it.
I think it's her and Hux have the discussion about how clones would be more efficient than the the people that they've been training.
Yeah, these like kids that they stole from.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's kind of like the child
kidnapped.
soldier sort of thing.
Yep.
I like it. I'm curious where they're gonna go with it. I'm curious what's going to happen.
This was the scene where like I relaxed and like, okay, that plot line
was only about a half hour.
Yeah, exactly. It was only about a half hour. And now rewatching it, I'm fine because I know it's not gonna last the whole movie.
And there isn't like the I can't believe you lied to me drama.
No,
Right,
he's
exactly.
the one being more upset about it. He's actually upset. More
He's
than
like
she
he feels
is.
bad that he lied to her, and
She's telling him not to go. She's
Exactly.
like,
She's got those adorable little doe eyes. He didn't
So,
want to tell her.
I assume we're okay with spoiling things that happen later in the movie.
Okay,
Absolutely.
well, yeah, I'm of the mindset. If this is your first time watching the film, you probably shouldn't be watching with a commentary.
Be listening to us.
Yeah.
You should enjoy it pure.
Come
the
back
first
and listen
time.
to it. This is
then
your first
the
time
second
back.
time you watch it with us.
We've already talked about Han Solo dying, so
Did we
Han
actually?
Solo dies.
yeah.
Oh fuck.
Motherfucker!
I'm
really?
sorry. Yeah.
I fell asleep
Well, actually,
during that part.
that was why I was checking to make sure that we're okay with spoilers ahead of time.
Yeah.
Because as far as insider theories go, my favorite is what I call the Snape theory, which is that Kylo Ren is actually still working on the side of good, and Han Solo knew that in order to carry through his mission, he had to kill his father, and so Han was sacrificing himself in order to let him move through. And I like that theory a
I've
lot.
read, just as the prequel films were inspired by Star Trek: The Next Generation, I would say this really does feel like it's inspired by the Harry Potter
Oh,
universe.
absolutely, especially the scenes with the snow and the forest and all that.
Yeah,
like,
it really
so
feels. I mean, and that's fine. I think it
Oh,
works.
yeah.
But Snoke has a tone of Voldemort. Kylo Ren feels a lot like Snape. The child who doesn't know that they're really special. The mystical characters telling them they're special.
Yep.
The old man mentor Hagrid is Chewbacca.
Yep. But here we
I
go.
Finn is-
Flashback time.
Finn is Ron.
Flashback time.
Poe Dameron is Hermione.
But no, I mean, and that actually goes along with what I was saying.
Yoda.
Yeah. And then you'll hear the voice of Obi-Wan that they very carefully managed to edit in there.
Yeah, they had to figure out how to get him to say Rey, how to get old Obi-Wan to say Rey.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is the first flashback. To my knowledge, I really can't think of a flashback, but if I'm wrong, just let me know.
She still has the same hairstyle.
I was noticing that too. Like she was rocking that hairstyle when she was young. And then this is this a flash forward?
So that's the closest I'd say to the Force Awakening, is that she touches this thing and has like an incredible vision.
Right.
I just wish there was a little bit more about it. I do like that. I guess she does the Force Awakens in her, in that she mysteriously gets better at Jedi abilities, like by the minute. And there's even a line about it, like she's getting stronger by the minute.
So I had a theory about that, which was, so when Kylo Ren is trying to push his way into her mind and learn things,
he taught her how to do everything.
She pushed back, and she saw how things worked, and then later on in their battle, when he mentions the Force, she realizes, like, oh wait, those things I saw in his mind, I can do those things. So I think that she learned a lot by pushing back into his mind and seeing a lot of the training that he'd received. But to me, the fact that this is mirroring some things from Harry Potter as well as from the original Star Trek, it goes along exactly with what I was saying earlier about how it's all about the hero's journey. It's this person who's in this awful situation, who thinks they're nobody, being told, no, you come from this great bloodline. And this is now pulling from what was the previous generation's version of that story, because I would say that for people that were growing up at our age, being, preteen, going through our teenage years, all of that, while the Harry Potter movies were coming out, was similar to what people who grew up when Star Wars was coming out. And so now this is doing the same sort of thing for a new generation of people that are going to see the hero's journey told again. So this has a little bit of the Harry Potter flavor, because that was what was brought in the previous generation. So it doesn't bother me that there's flavor of Harry Potter, that there's flavor of the original trilogy.
It's a tiny bit of Marvel flavor as well.
And all of those things are taken from great things that came before them.
Yep.
So,
Every time Disney puts out a new movie, I'm like, oh, this is Disney's, this is their winter cosplay catalog. Because like every single moment has so many things you can cosplay, like everything. I mean, this alone, there's just like a half dozen costumes you could cosplay here.
I would love to see.
I'm gonna cosplay Starkiller Base. I'm gonna go to Starkiller Base.
I would love to see a lot of people do like different variations of stormtroopers or soldiers in the Star Wars universe. I really want to see one that has the 3 bloody lines across the helmet.
Oh yeah. So there's it's funny you mentioned the cosplaying Starkiller Base. So all three of us here are familiar with the roller derby universe and have been involved in one way or another. So in Knoxville, there is something that's called the Sun Sphere, which is this giant golden ball that's up on a tower. And one of the mascots of the Knoxville roller derby team is someone dressed up like the Sun Sphere. So it's this they're dressed in this gold ball.
Nice.
I don't understand how Starkiller Base works.
That was I was about to bring that up. I also don't understand the proximity of the different locations that are involved here, because we're about to see it split. Is this where it splits into the 3 streams? So he can see this from here.
You can see it from like everywhere.
Yeah.
And then it destroys the Republic, and like there's really not much discussion about that.
Right.
And why all of the planets? I mean, that sucks. Like all the neighboring planets have nothing to do with the Republic.
Yeah, so
no, these people we don't really know just got killed.
That's something that does really confuse me, in that like all of these places seem to be within eyeshot of one another.
Right.
So the scale of space seems really small.
Right. Like we can barely see Mars most of the time from here.
Right.
This seems really unusual.
Unlikely.
Yeah.
Unlikely that a star system would have that many habitable planets.
Yeah, that as well. That it would be worth
statistically, that's not the case. There might be one. And that's not even likely.
We should have Neil deGrasse Tyson on the show to talk about this.
He had a lot of things to say about
I'm
this
sure.
movie. Of course he did. He always does.
Yep.
I actually, one of my friends tweeted, and it was a viral tweet, which he used a quote where he says, it's a fake quote from Neil deGrasse Tyson where he says, toys don't do this, in response to watching when Neil deGrasse Tyson watches Toy Story. This is what toys do. So
The
upset.
physics of this is all off.
Oh, that's excellent. Completely unrelated to
A good
anything
question.
except the fact
Well,
that you
another
mentioned
time.
Toy Story. I saw a post where someone asked, what happens if one of the Toy Story characters dies and then humans keep playing with it? Like, do all of his toy friends just see humans playing with the corpse of their friend?
Oh God.
That's some dark shit.
I
man.
know.
Lasers
So-
firing.
so that can keep you up at night.
Yeah. I liked this attack. Again, the traitor, the moment where the guy's like, traitor, and then they like fights Finn. Why wasn't that Captain Phasma?
Yeah, yeah.
It seems like an afterthought.
And the traitor guy, he's the one who says that is even, he's got an internet following that even though if you check the credits, it's not his designation. They have called him TR8R.
Yeah, they actually gave away his official designation. That's weird too. She like kills somebody and has this strange like bloodlusty reaction to it.
Yep. Which I think again it points to that like there's
Teasing the dark
it's
side
really
elements.
easy to get pulled over to the dark side and be like, oh, killing. This is what killing feels like.
Killing is very easy to do. Being emotionless.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of power in that. You look at what's going on politically, you see that. You see sort of hate, people giving into hate, and it's just very easy to continue. It's what I always call the world's only perpetual emotion machine.
You get
hate
this high off of being right.
Yeah, and like being right isn't important. What did you say? You said the other day, you're tired of being. You don't want to be right.
I
want
wanna
to
be effective.
You want to be effective.
Yep.
That's a
I
really
want
great
to
way of
affect
looking at things.
change. I don't
Yep.
want to just be right.
Yep.
And that to me is what the Jedis are about. It's not about being right. It's about affecting change in a positive direction, balancing the Force. Here, take this lightsaber. You don't know how to use it, but here it is. Good luck.
But maybe the Force is with you. I don't know.
I
You
want to
might
see a
figure it
character
out.
perform like what is that? Like Harry Carey? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I want to see that. with, like,
Harakiri.
Yeah, Harry Carey.
Yep.
I want to see like the.
I like this thing.
Harry Carey is what it's often called, and was also the
name of like a sportscaster.
the sportscaster for was he the Cubs? I think he's
so.
sportscaster for the Cubs.
Here it is.
But I believe Harakiri or Seppuku would be the
Seppuku is the other. I didn't want to say it and just completely botch.
Yes.
I'm not Japanese, if you haven't noticed, and I don't know. I'm not very good with my Japanese lingo.
The idea that he would be able to handle a
he handles it well.
Yeah, but again, good
He
old
has combat
TR8R
training,
here.
He does have combat training. He might have some sword
He
training.
was a stormtrooper.
Yeah,
he has some training.
If you look, this dude has he's I think they call him a heavy trooper. He obviously has training with
snap.
melee weapons like that.
Right.
That should have just been Captain Phasma.
Yep.
He should have stabbed Captain Phasma slightly.
Yep.
With the lightsaber and then ran off.
So one thing,
and then they get captured.
One thing that I think is important to point out is over the next 15 or so minutes, we're going to be shown over and over how badass Chewie's bowcaster is. And that's important. We're going to be shown how incredibly powerful that weapon is.
Now,
That weapon we've
also,
seen for years but never actually...
Right. We'd never seen fired until now.
Also in this scene, I've got to pay attention to it this time. The last, I saw this film twice in theaters. The lightsaber gets taken away from Finn. And I never catch how on earth they get it back.
Yeah, I think Maz is involved in that. I think Maz is the one who gets it back. And because Maz is the one who gives it to Leia, and I think Leia gives it to Rey.
Okay. I like that at that moment where they take it is where I lose track of what happens to it. And
It just disappears.
okay.
We'll pay attention and see if there's any, again, you can correct us in the comments while we're going to keep watching the movie, so, whatever.
See, I had thought that someone pulled.
Oh, there it is. There
it is. Yeah, he pulls it off the
grabbed
body right there.
Okay. I do think he gives it to like there was a deleted scene I think where he gives it to Maz.
Okay.
Because there are so many stormtroopers and
It's very frantic.
Like again, statistically speaking, the chances that he'd be near the one that took the lightsaber and still had it on, it just.
Well, it was taken from him though, and they were still in the same area, so that's not that unbelievable.
Okay, yeah.
Especially him knowing that it's a lightsaber, it's something important. We're dealing with like Jedi and things
it happened
like
very
that.
quickly after it was taken away from him. So.
Poe Dameron, just randomly back now.
Yep.
I find that odd. I feel like something happened to Poe when he was interrogated by Kylo Ren. I feel like something happened to him. I'm
still not entirely convinced that he's going to be a good guy the entire
yes, I agree.
trilogy.
I have a feeling he's going to go by way of the dark side.
Mm-hmm, yeah, I think, and maybe it's just that I'm biased because one of the trailers, the way the voiceover worked when Finn and Poe were passing one another. There's the line about the dark side and the light, and they the dark side. They're showing
they pass by each other.
Exactly. Yeah. And
the one guy who starts out bad goes good. The other guy starts out good goes bad.
Right.
That's kind of my theory.
And that's again, it's just the trailer, but him disappearing, and suddenly reappearing, and all of those sorts of things. Like it feels like there's a lot of room for him to potentially become a villain. By the way, that shot
is fantastic.
Is awesome.
Looks great in 3D too.
Yeah, the shot of the lightsaber right by her head, phenomenal.
He seemed to have a really violent reaction to the idea that a girl was with them earlier, and then doesn't seem to really know her when he actually finds her. He's just sort of like, "Hey, what's up? I don't really know you. I got really bent out of shape earlier when I found out you were with everybody, but now I don't know who you are." It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't really understand what happened there. This is interesting too because the reason why he captures her here is just straight up the dark side. She succumbs to fear, and fear is part of the dark side, and so he's able to control her.
And he's pretty sure that he can just push his way into her head and find out everything that that he needs to know. Which is why he's like, "Okay, peace. We don't need the droid. Leaving now." So yeah, at this point, Finn still has the lightsaber.
Yes.
So
he's still in possession of that. Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on that lightsaber, see if it goes anywhere.
Figure out where it goes and when.
You know what you should do, man? You should turn the lightsaber on and just chuck it right towards it. You are very likely to cut into that thing.
And this is Luke's lightsaber that he has right now?
This is Anakin's lightsaber. This is Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber.
This is the one that
Luke had it in Empire.
Yeah, that when he had his hand cut off and dropped it down into the it fell down in Bespin. So I think Maz says that there's a story about how she got it, and so
we'll get that story at some point.
Yep.
We better.
It fell down in the ventilation ducts at the bottom of Cloud City, and somehow it ended up in her possession.
They cut a lot of Leia out. From what I understand, a large portion of the deleted scenes are
like I said, there was stuff in the trailer that didn't end up in the film.
She got cut out quite a bit. I don't know whether it was performance issue or
pacing.
What. Pacing. Her performance is probably maybe the weakest of the old cast members, and that's really not her, she's bad or anything. It's just she hasn't really acted much in years. So and she's been mostly known for being a bit of a feminist comedian, and has made a career off of books and I mean
I love her off-screen work. It's hilarious.
The press tour when she was the best thing about the press tour. She was so funny. But in the movie she's just okay. I mean, you can tell that she's a bit weathered. She's got that raspy smoker voice, and I like to think that Leia is just a chain smoker. We just never see it.
Oh yeah,
she's just sitting over there
because she's been working as part of the she's been in the military basically now since the previous movies. She's You can. I think she's more of a cigar smoker.
Yeah.
Like I think she's more like smoking cigars. I don't
Smoking a
think,
stogie.
Exactly. She's
There you
smoking
go.
stogies all
There
the
you
time.
go.
I don't think it's cigarettes. I think she's a hardcore cigar smoker.
It's weed. She smokes weed.
Oh,
She's a weed smoker.
That's how she chills out between battles.
Finn and Poe reunited.
Oh, they're the best.
Bro,
Do they have? Do their mothers have the same name?
Is it Martha?
Is it Martha?
Is it Martha?
I like BB-8's like, I love you, Poe. Poe's the best.
It's like a puppy.
Like Poe sees him and he's like, oh, I love you,
Hey,
BB-8.
buddy.
You're my best friend. He's so cute, BB-8.
Yeah, he's not just excited because, like, oh, this droid had important information. There's, like, an
Look at him.
emotional
Yeah.
connection there.
Oh, it's so cute. Oh,
Oh,
look at that
yeah.
hug. It's so
Romance.
gentle, sweet, kind.
That's the hug.
He bites his lip here.
Wait for it.
That's my jacket.
Oh.
Here it comes. Here it comes. No. I don't like it.
That's the lip bite that launched 1,000 fan fictions.
So,
Shipping happened all over the world.
it got shipped like crazy. Yeah, and that's brought up a lot of talk that Poe will be the first openly gay character in the Star Wars universe, and we'll see.
Or at least bisexual.
Yeah, he might be
never
bi.
know. Yeah.
He might be tri.
Oh. We don't
He'll
know
try
how many
anything
sexes
once.
are in the universe.
We don't know whether their sexualities exist. We only have male and female.
Earth
There's a galaxy far,
sexuality.
far away. You never know what might be
There
going
could be. I don't even know what that would be,
Wow.
but trisexual.
Things just got interesting.
I should call myself. I should write that in profiles. Openly trisexual.
See, there's.
I feel like that's probably a thing that we just
People-
don't know what the
That
definition
probably is
is.
a real thing. Also, I'm not trisexual.
It's also the
You don't
like
know
joke
yet.
that I've heard people say is like, yeah, I'm trisexual. I'll try anything once.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You might not have noticed me because of my red arm. Love that scene. I'm glad that he's not in the movie very much, though, to be honest.
And his first appearance is basically as like he's cock blocking the reunion between. I thought that was a great way to reintroduce his character. He's like, yep, there he is, still getting in the way.
Yeah.
Princesses.
When they talk about their kid, it's awkward, but I just get a weird image of them like doing it. Only it's like them in their 70s now, like that's what I see, and I'm just like,
Do you think they snuck in
no.
time for a quickie before heading into?
definitely
Oh,
a
you know it.
blowjob. We gotta call that one the sloppy smuggler.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Do you think we have a minute there for the sloppy smuggler?
Just for
No?
old
Oh,
time's
now we
sake.
have two sex acts in this
little
film.
Hoth tickler as well.
Off tickler.
For folks who have not listened to our Empire Strikes Back podcast commentary, the Hoth tickler is
Involves
when
an ice cube in the
you
taint.
put your legs up in the air, pantsless of course, and your partner, your loving trisexual partner, takes an ice cube and rubs it very, very gently against your taint until you ejaculate, or if you're a woman, until you have an orgasm.
The Hoth tickle.
Hoth
everybody.
tickle, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like it just got weirdly silent, even though there was just three of us.
Well, there's this really, like, emotional scene going
That's the
on while
best
you're
part about
describing
it.
the saga.
Well, that's what they're remembering.
They lost
about
their
their
son
times
forever.
together.
He has too much Vader in him. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there going like,
Ice cube and
little ice cube on the taint. No, they actually had sex in the scene that we missed it, but they had sex in between.
It already happened. Already
Right,
happened.
Okay. Missed it.
The AARP special.
Does that mean there's a discount?
There was a discount. There's a 10% discount on the sex toys they used. I'm sad that she doesn't really have any Jedi abilities other than she can feel some things. The Force does not awaken in Leia.
No.
The Force never awakens.
Yeah, she's just always like.
But she
slightly
passes
force
it down.
sensitive.
She's the one that passes it. It's through her that
It's-
it gets to Kylo.
It's true. So the bloodline, there's that bloodline thing again.
Mm-hmm.
She might not have been, actually Force able, but
What's up? You're my
Flowed
guest.
through her.
Where are the others? Do you mean the murderers, traitors, and thieves you call friends? You'll be relieved to hear I have no idea.
You're doing like the Matt voice from SNL.
You still want to kill me? Take my mask off then.
No.
Sup, Madam Driver from Girls. There's a cat that looks just like me.
Can we insert a clip of the cat right there?
My name is Cat.
You ever seen Grandma's Boy? I kind of look like the villain from that. I like the theory that what he just put his helmet in there is actually Vader's ashes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's what that is.
I think that's I think it's a very valid theory, and I buy that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Yep. I can't not see the cat now.
You can't see, yeah.
Yeah, I just see the cat that looks like Kylo Ren.
Yep.
That's
Driver cat.
burned in my brain. Yeah.
You're a scavenger. I don't like you.
I'm just seeing the Matt
Yeah, I can take whatever I
SNL
want.
sketch where he's doing the fake or the
The
undercover
undercover boss
boss.
thing.
Undercover
Yeah.
boss. So fantastic. If you haven't seen that, check it out. If you haven't seen that though, what the fuck? Just look it up on YouTube. God.
You're already on YouTube.
You're already on YouTube.
look up
Stop being a
after-
dick.
but
Look up
finish
after
watching
this.
this first.
Yeah, finish watching this first. Definitely. You imagine an ocean. I see it. I see the island. Ooh.
There's a hatch on the island.
Han Solo's there. I feel like he's the father you never had. Kylo Ren. I really love Kylo Ren. He's probably like one of my favorite Star Wars characters. I'm sitting here making fun of him, but I really like his character.
No, I agree.
It's like the
I
only
agree.
action figure that you bought.
He gives such a great like tormented performance in this film. I just think it's beautiful. He's really great. It's great. I've seen some people bitch about it. It's like, oh, it's red pillist and stuff like that, and it has this sort of air of misogyny. It's like, yeah, that's kind of the point. That's what makes it interesting.
That's sort of why he's an interesting character.
What makes him a dynamic, interesting character is he sort of represents a current generation of people that don't know where they fit, and they've chosen something that maybe is not so good for the world.
Yep.
And here he is sitting here, and he's chosen something. He feels entitled. He feels like it's owed to him, and he is very aggressively seeking it to his own detriment. But there may be something going on with him. He may not be. I have a feeling he's going to be redeemed by the end of the series. Even if he's not the Snape sort of character, I think he will be redeemed and he will survive. I really actually kind of wish it happened in this movie because when they're on that catwalk at the end of the movie,
really fascinating to defuse the Kylo Ren character, and
because then you're like, where do they go? I don't know what they're going to do now. Kylo Ren's a good guy. Who's the real bad guy? It would pave the way for sure for Hux and for Poe Dameron to potentially become bad guys.
In that scene there where she says, she calls him out for being afraid. The only thing that it harkens back to the Donnie Darko scene where they say the only two emotions are love and fear, and fear. I think about like, love. How that applies to I don't know why it brought that about, but just we were saying, instead of like the good versus evil, it's fear that's driving the evil, and that's exactly what the motivation for Kylo Ren is here.
That's very potent political commentary, as the films have always sort of had a little bit of a political spin to them. They were sort of meant to mirror the Roman Empire, and sadly that political arena is still present in our hundreds of years later.
And here we have the James Bond appearance.
James Bond appearing in the film playing a stormtrooper. It's fantastic.
Boom.
Daniel Craig.
Yep, that's Daniel Craig inside that stormtrooper.
If you didn't know that, and if you didn't know that, what the fuck? What kind of fan are you? You're listening to a commentary, but you don't know trivia like Daniel Craig is the stormtrooper.
Maybe they're listening to the commentary to learn trivia,
right?
like Daniel Craig.
This
is
is
the
the
stormtrooper.
value that we are giving them.
Exactly.
We know the
Exactly.
trivia.
Listener, viewer, whatever you are, thank you.
Randy forgives
Thank you.
you.
You're forgiven.
Hey.
You're forgiven. It's okay. It's all right.
He's
It's
not
all
gonna make
right.
fun of you anymore.
I'm not gonna make fun of you anymore. I'm gonna make fun of.
It's okay. My feelings aren't hurt.
It's okay. My feelings aren't hurt. Michael Shannon, folks. That's from Michael Shannon in The Night Before, a pretty funny movie.
We've been quoting that line since we saw it.
Michael Shannon's drug dealer is the greatest character.
It's okay. My feelings aren't hurt.
It's okay. My feelings are hurt. It's a great little moment.
So yeah, here we see the rapid escalation of her realizing that she has powers, which again happens right after she pushes her way into.
She
his
levels
brain.
up.
Yeah, and that's why I believe that like she saw this whole world of things that she could potentially do, because I don't think that there's any reason that she would have known before that. I love this scene right
so
here.
much.
It's so good.
That's Barack and Michelle Obama.
See
Like,
the bounty of trivia you guys are getting?
I really want to be in the Star Wars movie. I'm president. Can we make that happen?
Look, I'm president, and I want to be in the new Star Wars.
If I were president, I would certainly use
seriously.
that power.
Guaranteed. That's presidential.
If you
that's
have
presidential
this, like,
privilege right there.
One chip that you can play as president, like it should be. Let me at least be in the new Star Wars movie. Come on,
JJ.
Come on, man. Come on, JJ.
Just one.
You know.
I don't even need to be. I don't have to have a speaking line. Here we go with this. We're approaching the finale of the film, which this is probably. I don't like that they actually pointed out that it looks like the Death Star.
Like,
and
by the way,
the same
this giant planet-sized base. It's really a lot bigger than the last giant planet-sized base.
Yeah, that's what makes it scarier. Well, yeah, but not really. All at the same time.
Yep.
The First Order of the Phoenix.
Oh my. There's always a way to do that. There's always a way to blow it up.
Yeah,
this feels a little like lazy. It just feels a little bit strangely lazy.
And this is the part, like, this is the parallel that that does bother me a bit. Like the fact that what they had to destroy was the giant planet-sized superweapon. Like all of the other parallels between this and A New Hope didn't bug me. This one it does get me a little bit.
Yeah, well, particularly I read an article about the genesis of the story, and it was basically J.J. Abrams and Lawrence Kasdan visited these sort of beautiful locales and would walk around and talk about Star Wars for hours on end, and develop the story for this chapter. And it's sort of odd when you see the final product and you're like, wow, that was the result. Was like you guys just pretty much reinvented the same plot conventions as the last one. Well, it just seems like an odd. I feel like Starkiller Base should have been something. Starkiller Base just should have been a base,
right, with
a lot of ships and a growing. They're going to invade someone very soon, a large scale invasion, and Starkiller Base is where they manufacture like super star destroyers and things that are dangerous to the universe.
Like you could have done something like, it's a base that's on a planet, and it's like they've drilled down in to, past the crust into the core of this planet, and literally the only way to get to it is to go inside, because that's the convention here. They have to use Finn to get inside of the base. So you can just construct a different kind of base that isn't the same base that you've used in the past.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the planet
the exact same
super weapon.
Right. It can just be a different kind of base. The weapon can work differently.
And the name Starkiller Base, it came from Luke's original name, which was, Starkiller. Skywalker was what it was changed to. But yeah,
it feels like, I don't know, it feels odd.
I mean, I would have been okay with something that simply caused a sun to, like, the super weapon this time is a device that causes the sun to go nova and destroys the system and everything around it, as opposed to just like a beam weapon that destroys.
Or just eliminate that whole convention and just make it like they don't know that the First Order has been building ships for 20 years inside this hollowed out moon called Starkiller Base, and they are about to launch a full scale invasion of the Republic. And that's what we're up against. We have to stop that full scale invasion before it happens. To me, that's potent material. The way it is presented here is just I've seen it before.
Yeah, it feels like a retread. Which that's the one plot parallel that bothers me. The rest of them don't. This one bugs me.
Yeah, it's why I would give the film a solid B plus if I were to grade it. I don't think it's an A film. I think it's just a really, really solid piece of fun entertainment. It's good. It's enjoyable. It's funny. It's exciting. It's emotional.
And
it restores the universe in a lot of ways.
It was what needed to happen in order to get the universe back on track and get everyone
beautiful film.
God, I can't wait till the next Star Wars film, because even if you didn't love Starkiller Base, even if you thought there were too many parallels, you walked out of the theater excited for the next one and wanting to know how this story goes and where it's headed.
It's cool too because you're going to see Rian Johnson's going to direct episode 8, or is directing episode 8 as we speak, and Rian Johnson's such a perfect choice for the darker second chapter, because if you've ever seen any Rian Johnson movies, he has a good edge, he has a comedic edge, but he also does a really, really good job.
By the way,
we had to.
Yeah,
that's not how the Force.
We have to pause for one of my favorite
Best
lines in the entire movie. We'll use the
Han
Force.
Solo.
That's not how the Force works.
It's not how the Force works.
And then the snap at Chewie immediately. Oh, really? You're cold? Like, the whole scene is just hilarious.
And I like that Chewie gets him a jacket. So Chewie gives him his jacket back. Where was I going before? Yes, Rian Johnson directing episode 8 is a great choice to direct the darker one, because Rian Johnson has made Looper, and which was a sort of a dark sort of story.
I love Looper.
Yeah, Looper's fantastic, and just his style of filmmaking is quite sharp and brilliant, and he'll bring a lot. And then like kind of the third film in the series, just like Return of the Jedi, and this one is a little more crowd pleasing in its formula. Having the director of Jurassic World do that one is Colin Trevorrow is really interesting as well. So it's good choices of filmmakers all around. And again, I've said it in other commentaries, but I think the best of Star Wars is yet to come, because you now have a studio committed to telling unique, creative, artistic stories in a vast universe that is virtually limitless in its possibilities.
And I love the fact that they're already starting to branch out and tell some of those other stories. Like they have the main trilogies that this is number 7 in that. We've
seen her do this already.
Yeah, there we go. We're seeing the skill set that she demonstrated earlier in the film. I will, to my dying breath, defend the fact that she is not a Mary Sue.
It's a ridiculous claim.
Yeah, it's absolutely absurd. But I like the fact that with Rogue Squadron, they're starting to explore other aspects of the universe with movies. And, the idea that, yes, we're going to get more of this main storyline with these primary characters and their descendants and all of that. We're also going to get to see other stories happening in this same universe, which is really exciting, because some some of the extended universe novels and such that were decanonized some of them were pretty mediocre, but some of them were phenomenal.
Were great.
And so by decanonizing them, they now have the opportunity to mine those for whatever they feel like using. It's like, that was great, that was great, that was great. We're going to take these elements and we're going to make a movie out of them.
It's similar to how Marvel has gone from the page to the screen, and now the medium is still on page, but is largely on screen. Most people are getting their comic book content on screen now, and not necessarily reading the books. The hardcore fans are reading the books, but the medium has jumped. Yeah. And that's kind of what happened with Star Wars here, is the medium has, for the most part, actually been comic books and books. And radio plays and stuff like that. There's exponentially, like, just one book alone, it would take you more hours to read it than all of Star Wars exists. You read like the Admiral Thrawn trilogy of the Heir to the Empire.
Heir to the Empire, Timothy Zahn's books and all of that.
You read all 3 of those, you're going to spend more time on those than anything in the Star Wars universe. So you're seeing now that leap from page to screen again. In that, not in the episodes themselves, those are really just a continuation of the story, but Rogue One, the Han Solo movie, all of those are Those are the ones that I think are going to be game changing. I actually don't really want a Han Solo movie personally. I mean, it's fine, but I had the idea to do the Kessel Run, which I think is a fun idea to tell like a Cannonball Run style story with Han Solo, and not have it be about his origin or anything. It's just a fun story about Han Solo. But it does seem like it's going to be in more origin centric. Well, who is Han Solo? And it's like, well, he's just a smuggler. I mean, I got that. I don't need to know his backstory.
Yeah.
I know that he was like married once. Which I heard we might see explored, and he was married before Leia.
Thank you for correcting me that the name of the movie is Rogue One and not Rogue Squadron.
Oh,
yeah. I had been miscalling it that. So.
Yeah, I recall. Yeah, I was like, maybe it's called. Maybe
no, you're right. It's Rogue One. That was my bad.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing all of the new. Oh, what is that in your pants, Finn? Finn, what is that? Wow, it's big. Finn.
Skip now, hug
later.
later.
No, I'm sorry, it's a lightsaber.
Like, have we kept track of the lightsaber? Does he still have it?
He still has it.
He
is holding it in his hand right there.
Okay.
And there's Chewie gave him a coat.
Which
Chewie loves him.
right after you said
They're best friends.
he gave him his coat
mother.
back,
Name.
you see Harrison Ford flinging it over his shoulder.
Yeah.
In that location, and then they went back to that spot. And
Chewie picked it up for him because Chewie loves him.
Oh.
She was like, "I love you. Our mothers are both named Martha."
Because that's the basis for friendship.
Friendship is based on your friends' mothers' names. I don't know why I sang that. I'm sorry.
It's the theme song to Batman.
I was like trying
Superman.
to come up with a thing, but I can't. My friend's got a bag full of explosives. There is Leia's daughter, not actually her daughter, but Carrie Fisher's daughter is in this movie. Appears in this movie.
I don't think I'd realize
Briefly.
that.
Yeah. She's got like blonde hair in the background.
Yeah.
She has to be in the movie, so she appears briefly. She has like one line. Stormtroopers are as terrible as shooting as ever.
Yep.
Even though they're not clones this time, it makes no sense. They should be better shots now.
well, I mean, we learned from Finn that
They only know how to do like certain things, basically.
right, and they're pretty, they go up through the ranks pretty quickly, kind of just thrown into combat. Clearly, Finn wasn't ready for that emotional level of combat. Like I think there's so many of them that they're not preparing them probably as well as.
Yeah.
Although, aren't they being trained from like childhood?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know.
Whatever.
But I think they're only trained to do like one thing, basically.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go die. I'll see you later. I'm gonna get stabbed by my son in a very emotional scene.
Yep.
I think I've described it before, but it was a beautiful little moment where, he comes out and he gets killed, and it was one of the most memorable moments in movie history for me in the theater, was hearing the audience just sort of go when he got killed. Just hearing everyone in the audience.
Because it was opening night, no one knew what was gonna happen yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It had not been ruined.
So when he started walking out onto the walkway, like my wife and I saw the movie together, and we like looked at each other and like grabbed one another's hands and like we're just like,
this is it.
This is
the scene where he dies.
Yep. This is where it's gonna happen.
And it holds it in that really uncomfortable kind of place where you're just like it's like one of those things where every time I watch it, I want him to make a different decision than when he does, and I think that's powerful cinema.
Yeah.
Goosebumps.
There they are.
The
There they are.
bumps.
They came back.
I bump up.
The bumps.
I bump every time.
Bump
I
it up.
because that I respond to powerful emotion on screen. I love seeing powerful emotion on screen.
You get the goosebumps. Like I was actually in saying that I was like tearing up a little bit. It's
sad.
powerful.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
It's powerful. It's powerful stuff. I love the lighting of it. It's kind of red and blue on his face, and then it goes completely to red, and you just get an idea of how intense this is. For me, I mean, this is a way more emotional beat having Han Solo die. This is one of the biggest cinema characters to die on screen. I'd say second only, and this is much more effective, but second only to maybe Captain Kirk. But Captain Kirk is not a cinema icon. He is a television icon that transferred to cinema. This is a cinema.
He names them then. Sorry.
Yeah, he did. He's a direct, he is a direct cinema character. He's probably one of the most prominent and longest running characters to have died on screen. Although I think we're going to see in the future with a lot of movies they're making, I think we're going to see this happen a little bit more, is we're going to see a lot of iconic characters die in movies, probably as a result of this. That, iconic character can die and it doesn't cause the fans to lose their shit.
Yep. If you're telling a compelling enough story, then it
gives credence to the story.
Having an ending to a character's story can be a really powerful thing if it's done in a meaningful way. And
it is. Yeah, this is tough stuff. I should talk about a sex act, right? No, I can't do that to this scene. This is too powerful of a scene.
No, this is.
It's heartbreaking.
I don't even want to talk through this scene. Like, if you're watching the movie,
we have a moment of silence for the scene.
Yeah.
We're just gonna have a brief intermission while we watch this part of the movie.
That's what Snape wants you to think.
My son.
No. Supreme Leader is wise. Snoke is using you for your power. We all know who Snoke is. We all know. You don't. The audience doesn't know.
It's Jar Jar.
It's not Jar Jar.
It's totally Jar Jar.
I don't know what it is. I had a theory that he's actually like really small.
Oh yeah. I went that same direction. Like when your holographic projection is like 30 feet tall, that means you're actually like Yoda size.
Yeah.
That was where I was going with that.
Yeah. It's so powerful, and you can see all the pain in his eyes.
Yeah.
Like there's the conflict. Adam Driver is a great choice because Adam Driver is a fantastic actor and just is so powerfully emotive in every performance I have seen him in.
Well, in some ways, the fact that we're watching this with subtitles and without sound, like, brings it
really
across
lets you see
that much more. Like,
it's
we
like
can't
silent
hear his
film
voice.
Yeah,
and yeah.
Well, and it makes the layers of the scene even more interesting because is that pain the character acting or is that pain really real? You know, are we really seeing that pain, or has he slipped so much into darkness that he can just manifest this, like, fake pain in order to trick his father? You know, like, is this a sign of the light or a sign of how dark he's actually gotten that he could manipulate him in that way?
I think it's sort of meant to be this is the light extinguishing from him now. This is the moment where light extinguishes from him.
Literally, as the
bumps,
lights go out
bumps,
in the scene.
Yep.
Bumps.
The whole scene goes dark.
Yeah, I'm bumping up. Oh, God.
Bump it up.
It's just so... And you see the blue on Finn there.
Yep.
And the Chewie is just like... See you later, Dad.
Oh, God.
Thank you.
The last thing.
Falling down the shaft. He survived. He survived this.
I bet there's people who claim that on the internet.
There are
Oh,
people who
of
claim
course.
it on the internet. There's a beautiful
course.
little, like, touching his face. There it is.
Why are there not railings on this thing?
I would never
Because
walk across that catwalk.
No.
Somebody was like, "You need to go over there." No, it's fine. I'll be like,
I'll walk around.
That's cool. Can I go on my hands and knees? I'm gonna need all four of my leg and body components in order to cross this fucking thing.
Yep.
There, she feels it.
So
She feels it.
I've been pointing out how crazy powerful the bowcaster that Chewie has is. So now, bam, only takes him down to his knees. Like, this is that is a weapon that throws people. That, like, they go flying.
He actually has a thing around his stomach area, like some kind of like myrtle, and I think he hits that portion because he's like slapping it later on. He's like slapping the area,
Right.
trying to probably keep the pain inside.
And part of what I'm going for with that is that the film has been showing us how badass and how much damage that weapon does.
Yeah.
And so we're dealing with a wounded animal that is fueled primarily by anger at this point. And so, you know, again, with the whole, like, Mary Sue complaint, you know, people are saying, well, how could she possibly beat him? It's like, he just got shot with that thing that destroys everything.
Right.
I'm sorry that I'm laughing right now. Our cat is just sitting here eating.
Crunch,
You could just hear the little cute
Doesn't
little
even realize Han Solo just died.
kitten
She's
crunches.
She doesn't give a
munching
shit.
away.
With a little like.
She's like, fuck Harrison Ford.
She doesn't
I
give a-
never liked Han Solo anyway.
She don't give a shit.
There's a cat that looks like Kylo Ren. That cat's my boyfriend.
That's the best cat.
That's the best cat.
No, Dee Dee is infatuated with Chris Spotsworth,
Oh god.
who is a spotted snow leopard
Oh.
that she's a really big fan of.
Ah, well.
That's the blood.
He can be found on a purse that Dana owns. She goes over and she
Rubs
gives
her
it-
face
she
on that
rubs
purse.
her face on it. It's really funny. People are listening to this. They're like, we don't give a shit about your
Why are
cat.
You
you
guys are
talking about your cat?
idiots.
Stop talking about your cat eating.
Talk about Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Schrader.
All this
Oh.
beautiful blue and red, the snow hitting the blade of the lightsaber and kind of having that sound as it hits is beautiful.
brilliant.
It's awesome.
This is one of the parts that really does feel Harry Potter-esque.
Come get it. I like oh well, yeah, and he fails too, which is kind of like the way Harry Potter is, because Harry Potter fails miserably at defeating Voldemort.
He does.
In yeah,
pound
he
on
hits
his wound.
Yep.
He hits the wound, which I thought was a brilliant tactic. But yeah, you can kind of see that like belt he has around there. That's where he got shot.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, he absorbed the impact.
I love this shot though. I really do.
The
like
color design in this film is just awesome.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and that right there, like
God,
the
that
vents,
has to-
the vents on the saber. So when we first saw the saber with the vents on the side, or the cross guards or whatever you want to call them, I wasn't sold on it, but it worked.
I figured it would
Yeah.
look cool in the
Yeah,
movie.
it ended up looking badass.
Oh God, he really got
him
it
in the
hard there.
back. Oof.
I mean, there are so many components. Well, I mean, he's an alien. Maybe he doesn't have a spine. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. He might not have a spine.
Maybe it's
Finn
just...
is spineless. It's just gelatin in his whole body.
So right at this moment,
Bam.
entire theater
Yes,
cheered.
yes.
Oh yeah,
The
you're like,
whole theater like
holy
erupted.
shit!
Yeah.
Ray is the Jedi character.
Yep.
Bumps, ladies and
Yeah, they are.
gentlemen.
It's-
The bumps.
Bumps
The
are back
bumps are
out.
back.
And I feel a little bit for Kylo Ren here, just because this is that moment where, like, okay, like, for example, you've been playing a sport since you were like 5, and you're like 20 now. You've been practicing
You
this
think you're
sport ever
awesome
since
at
you were
it.
5. Well, you work at it every day, trying to be great at, and then some assholes like, oh, I've never played basketball before, and they just pick up a ball and they're like way better than you, and you're just like, what the hell?
Natural talent versus worked talent.
I also love what the fight choreographer did there in having her use the like stick style, like the same
Yeah.
techniques, attack techniques she uses when she's fighting with the stick.
She
So
learned
again-
she learned it from Stick from the Daredevil universe.
So again, we established that she knows how to handle herself and handle this weapon, and it's
Yeah.
not that unusual to believe.
Right, like she's not using standard lightsaber techniques. She's using the stick fighting
stab.
techniques.
Well, and
that
she probably fights all the time. I mean, she's a gorgeous girl on like a planet of homeless people.
Right.
And like crazy like scavengers. She probably is attacked
Yeah.
all the time.
And people are always trying to fuck with her and like take her shit, and she like obviously has done pretty well for herself, so she can like
Yeah, people
I
are
think
kind of
she-
scared of her.
I think she comes off kind of
establish that.
tomboyish in the story, which is appropriate. You're going to have a bit of a tomboyish style to yourself if you are going to be fighting people all the time. You're going to be fighting oppression. You're probably going to take on a more aggressive way of functioning.
Well, I appreciate the fact that they neither like established her as being like tomboy character or tried to make her super ultra feminine. She just kind of is what she is. She's got her hair pulled back. She
Yeah, she's not like defining tomboy in any way, shape, or form. Just sort of that makes more sense logically.
Right,
That,
right.
Like somebody
it's
like
just by necessity
socially
like,
would develop that way.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really no one on this planet that is particularly femme.
right.
Like, everyone's kind of got a rough life there.
It is weird that BB-8 kind of disappears in the last act of the movie. Like
Yeah,
he kind of isn't
yeah.
important in the final
Well,
act.
I assumed he was probably just back at the base, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he
Reunites with
becomes
Poe.
he becomes
He's with Poe
important.
right now. I think.
Okay, yeah, that's right. He's and it's not until they get back to the base at the end that he becomes important. When he sort of like
Yeah, he weirdly doesn't talk to. Well, he does talk to R2D2, but R2D2 must have like a comes online on a specific date and time.
maybe R2's force sensitive. Maybe that's the awakening. R2 is the one
R2
who
is
awakened to
awoken
the
with
force.
the Force.
Huh? Well, kind of.
Yeah.
To give them a piece of the map that it seems like they didn't really need because it was just like one little system. It just seems like it didn't need. I don't know.
Well, we don't know.
You
We
need
don't
a
know what
teacher.
portion of the galaxy that map actually is covering.
Teach you the ways of the Force.
Like, the force?
Force,
Wait,
is that
holy
what's
shit!
going on?
That's what I've been doing. Oh. And that's the moment that she figures out, like, oh, all that stuff I found in your brain, and maybe some things from my memory before I got abandoned on Desert Planet. Here we go.
Yeah.
Bam.
And this is where she starts.
Now
it's a
she is
different fighting
LeBron
technique.
LeBron Jamesing him.
Yeah, like different fighting
brute
technique. She's
force.
fighting lightsaber style.
And beating the hell out of him.
And still using some of the stick techniques, because that was definitely
Sure.
like a
The jab.
But she's using techniques she had not before. That my theory is she found
Has
them
now
in
tapped
his
into
brain.
I love that we went back to a more delicate style of lightsaber fighting,
Mhm.
as opposed to just sort of like ninja fighting, like this sort of ridiculous style that was employed in the prequels, which is beautiful in its own way. But like, I like the emotive fighting
Right.
of the old series. It's
Yeah,
a
to
little
be
more
honest,
classic fighting.
this style of fighting that we're seeing here is my favorite that of
best
any,
of both worlds. Really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's elegant and a little acrobatic without feeling wildly just choreographed in like some sort of elaborate dance. Like
Yeah.
it feels like they're fighting, but it feels like, there's finesse to it.
Yeah, I agree. Star Wars.
Nothing but Star Wars.
Thank you, Bill Murray. So great.
If they should bar war.
We're losing power rapidly. Lieutenant? Even Hux is gone. Where did Hux go? Hux is like,
You
"Oh,
want
get
to-
out of here.
I gotta go ask my boss what to do.
Dad?
Like, well,
Dad?
get the hell out.
Snoke, where are you, Snoke?
So the some of the timing of this ending here, like I understand that that they compressed the time, but things seem to happen. Like people get from point A to point B really, really quickly.
I agree.
And that sort of threw me off a
They
little
use the
bit.
Force.
Like,
That's what happened. The Force was used.
That's not how the Force works.
not how the Force works. Love it. Chewbacca's like, I don't know how to fly this. All I know how to touch the one button that goes into light speed. I bought the fuzzy dice. And I don't put him on his back, Jesus.
yeah, seriously. If you have a giant gaping back wound,
Yeah,
just
you don't really.
FYI.
Yeah, that's not the best way to lay someone
Go
down.
on your stomach.
There's gonna be some serious infection that happens. Like he laid him on his back on the floor of a smuggler's freighter. There's
Yeah,
you
no,
don't
you
have
don't
any
want-
idea what
Infection.
kind of shit's been on
It's
that
all
floor.
open.
Ugh.
Kaboom.
Gotta put
Now,
that, like-
granted, probably it was cauterized because lightsabers do that.
Mm-hmm.
Still,
nerve endings
Yeah.
are shot, but they're all firing.
yeah.
Yeah, you don't want anything touching
Give
it.
that guy
Yeah.
some medical marijuana and let him go. Let him relax. Calm him down. Give him some whiskey. Some Romulan ale.
think we've switched universes here.
What?
Chewie growls.
So this is one of the interesting moments here that I feel like we'll get a little more explanation from at some point. The fact that she and Leia
This is like the first time they meet,
This is
right?
the
this
first
is
time
the
they
first
meet.
time they meet, and they immediately connect to each other. So there's something to that.
Yeah.
like I understand why Leia might already know who she is. Why would she know who Leia is?
She can feel her from the Force.
Yeah.
Right.
She's been in Kylo's head. She knows her.
Oh, that goes along with the whole like.
Oh, okay.
she
I
learned a
got
lot
goosebumps
from-
Did you get the
that
goosebumps?
time.
Okay.
Oh.
Yep. There it was.
The bumps.
Oh.
Yep.
Let's do a bump.
I get 'em
count or
on my
something.
legs.
No, that's so, and that's something I haven't heard a lot of
Be
people
like a
talk
full-blown
about
werewolf
God.
by the end of this.
with theories. But I think that she saw and learned a lot inside Kylo's
Oh,
head,
yeah.
and that explains that as well. Like she
Yeah.
saw Leia and the connection there, and so okay, all right, that's explained for me.
Yeah.
I got it. Okay, I'm good.
She knows. She knows who she is now. She's been.
And now Archer's
Sure.
awake, and he's doing his little potty dance.
Well, and that she can go inside that head and pull the good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
She managed to pull good parts out and information and see his fear.
As long as when by the time we get to the third one, she isn't like, "There's still good in him. I can feel it." Like, oh, come on, don't do that. Already done that. Already done that story. Do another story. Here we go.
Yeah, so that is a pretty big chunk of the
but
galaxy.
still, you know that's where he is. So just scour that part of the galaxy.
Well, generally speaking, but
I mean, this is the same
Why wasn't it just the
universe
whole
in
map?
which they could just crash on Jakku and be within walking distance of the right village.
The whole thing with R2 being asleep was a bit silly, and it didn't really need to happen.
yeah, I agree.
It was just so they could work together, which is just not necessary.
Well, and like I don't even really understand how this map works because there's like a path.
Once again,
Like, why isn't it just he's on this planet?
why
And then you
is
navigate
that?
to that
Those were
planet
all
from
the
wherever.
planets that Luke went to and impregnated women and left behind all of his little
He's got a
Force
baby
children.
in every port.
Every single one of those planet, there's a Force baby that he left
He's like,
behind.
"You will sleep with me. You will get
But-
pregnant.
Oh,
you will
that's
ovulate.
creepy.
You
Oh.
will ovulate."
That's the dark
I
side
am
right
But
there.
no,
ovulating.
but really, what is the path that they're showing? Wouldn't it just be
Well,
like he's on this planet?
Well, they talked about the fact that he was searching for the first Jedi temple, and so that might have been the path that he followed
Yeah.
to find the first Jedi temple.
But okay, but why does it have an end point?
Just say something. Say something so it passes the Bechtel test. Or Bechtel test?
Bechdel test.
Yeah.
Just say thank you.
Nope.
Nope.
She does talk to Maz, though.
Yes.
Okay,
it's true.
so this is something that I need confirmation on. I've always interpreted the Bechdel test as they talk about something other than relationships with men.
Yes.
But I've also read that's just men in general, which
Yeah,
means her
we've had a debate about
conversation,
this.
which means her conversation with Maz does not pass.
No, because
Because the whole thing is about
If you
powerful
go with the
men
loose
and their
rules-
connection to them.
if you go with the loose rules of they just talk, they don't talk about boyfriends or lovers, then I think it works. But if you go purely on they don't talk about men at all, they talk about whatever, then yeah.
Right, because I would take issue with a story that was all about, let's say, lesbians talking about their love lives all the time, because it's still like undermining.
same
It's
concept.
undermining the fact that women have something to talk about other than their relationships.
Right.
You would think like Wikipedia would have like a this would just be a well-known location for the first Jedi temple. Like you'd think that would be well known. It'd be on Wikipedia, which is a real thing.
It is
Here, but in that world,
Wikipedia is an excellent website and a great
Yeah.
resource for.
owned by Wikia. I love that she brings R2 and Chewbacca. So if she's like going to learn to be a Jedi, like Chewbacca's just going to have to sit around and watch all of this. Be like, oh, I could be using my time in a better way. Just
Well, I mean, he's kind of lost right now, probably without Han.
no, I'm free.
Oh yeah, the slave
Free
theory.
finally. I'm free. Master was killed.
Oh no, they were buddies.
They were friends.
he was like a house elf.
He was like a house elf.
he was like Dobby the whole time.
Master presented me with clothes. He's had me naked this whole time, just wearing a belt.
God.
It's really mean of him. No, this is brilliant. The original Jedi. You'd think that like everyone would know where the original, like this would just be a part
Is
of
this
like
the original,
lore.
or did it become a temple because he's there?
No, it's the original
Yeah.
Jedi Temple.
Yep.
Oh,
It's
Which
the very first
apparently
one.
is on Skellig Michael in Scotland.
maybe only Jedi can know where it is. Like they're the ones who feel where it is. It's not documented. They just feel it.
Sorry, Ireland, County Kerry, Ireland.
Oh, here it is.
Oh.
Oh, Luke Skywalker.
This would be a cool like place to go visit in Ireland.
It's an actual
Skywalker.
spot.
Oh,
Like,
what's
there-
happening
yep,
again?
They're the bumps.
One more set of bumps
Last
before
set
the
of bumps.
film ends. Oh my god. She's about to hand him the I love the meme of like, there was a hand with that. Can I have the hand? Do you have the hand?
did you bring me the hand that was attached to that lightsaber?
So,
It
Luke
might have been.
Skywalker.
It might have looked a little bit like this one, but it's opposite.
Like
What-
this,
what
but,
its
but
mate?
backwards.
But it's mate.
Do you want this? He's like,
His facial expression here, though, like,
So scary.
there's so much you can read into.
oh my,
that.
there's like 1,000 things you can read into that.
yeah.
And her too.
and hers, like,
She seems so powerfully sad.
like,
And confident and unsure,
shaking
and
a
he
little
looks
bit.
like he's crying and angry. Like I would not be
Like-
surprised to see him just bust out his
like-
lightsaber and they just duel right here.
you know, like half of it is like, to me, it's like I can't believe you brought me back into this. I thought I was. I
Yeah, he's
thought,
like the Godfather Part 3.
no, exactly.
What are you doing here?
Directed by J.J. Abrams. There it is. The movie's over.
Oh, you know,
Star Wars Episode 7.
I
Force Awakens.
still, yeah, It's not a perfect movie.
No.
But again, I did pay to see it in theaters multiple times, and after having watched it again, I still wouldn't mind seeing it a few more times in
Right.
the
Yeah.
next couple months. Like,
Well, there's a lot to absorb. There's so
Yep.
much going on in the universe. It's a beautifully it's just a beautiful relaunch of the universe in a very meaningful way, which I think is really cool.
Yep. Absolutely.
I think it does. It's just such an extraordinary piece of film, and just a great achievement in that it's so hard to take something that's like this, something that's as old as this, and sort of bring it back to life and do so in a way that is honorable to the original, and then also gives you something new. And you see so many films, we talked about it before, you know, like Zoolander and Anchorman and Dumb and Dumber, and you see all these like kind of comedy sequels that come up, and these like sort of relaunch concepts that come out where you have the original cast come back and do something, and I don't know, so many times it just doesn't work. But
Yep.
yeah,
No, I thought the original cast was used very
well.
yeah, it was used sparingly and effectively.
Tastefully.
Yep. And you know, I think Han Solo's death is one of the most emotionally effective moments in, you know, in like, you know, big budget, big name movie. Like there are a lot of like smaller movies that are, you know, extremely emotional, but as far as a blockbuster film goes,
yeah.
I
Popcorn
think
film.
that is, yeah, exactly, for a summer tentpole like popcorn film type. I mean, of course it didn't,
Christmas temple.
yeah, Christmas temple.
Yeah.
But for that kind of film, I think it's one of the most effective death scenes.
It's one of the most effective out there.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Absolutely.
It's potent and tough to take, but sort of necessary. I remember before the film came out, I kept saying like how I had emotionally prepared for it, because I'm like, he's in his 70s. Like,
Yep.
Han Solo, I'm surprised is still alive. Really.
Yep.
Because he's kind of a sketchy person. You'd think he wouldn't really live very long.
Yep.
His life would not really be very long, and so it's kind of a miracle he made it to his.
Well, I've you know, there, of course, the internet is awash with fan theories, but one of them that's been around for a long time is that he actually is himself force sensitive.
Yeah.
And
I would agree.
It just doesn't know it, but accidentally taps into that, and that's how he gets out of all of those scrapes.
Right.
So.
Now, this isn't going to be a popular statement, as popular as this show, or not this show, this film was. I've never been one who was emotionally invested in the Star Wars universe.
Okay.
Like, I like all of the films. Like, I like them. Not all the films. I like Star Wars. I get it. But it's never swept me off my feet. You know, it's never seduced me the way it seems to have other people. You know, I can watch them and appreciate them, go, yeah, okay, I'll watch that, fine. But it just never, like, took my breath away like it seemed to do other people. And then but this film did that for me. It's sold me on this universe. It makes me want to go back and watch, you know, the previous installments, and it has me really excited to see what's next. And I feel a lot more plugged into this universe than I had before with this film.
I would agree. I think it does a good job at relaunching the franchise and relaunching the universe, and when it came out, I kept saying, like, it adds mystery to the universe again, which is cool.
Yep.
The prequel films don't do that.
They took away mystery.
You might like the prequel films because of that. That may be a reason why people like it, because I know people who like it, and I think that is the reason why. Is they're actually like, they don't necessarily like the universe. They like Star Trek a little bit more,
right? I am someone that loves both sides of the coin. Like I've been rewatching Voyager from the beginning and realizing that
how much you watched of it.
That I was a loyal devotee when Voyager started for the first several seasons. Like when it was first airing, I was watching every single week.
That makes me think, does the band, you said devotee, and is that what Devo, the band Devo, is that what like their fans are called? Devotees.
I'm trying to remember. No, there is a name for them, but I can't remember.
There's a name for Devo fans?
Yeah. Let's ask the internet.
The hell?
I think it's something. Isn't it something to do with those hats?
Devotees makes so much more sense.
It would be. We should go back in time. What are Devo fans called?
Okay, Google. You guys don't have Google phones. You have iPhones. We all have iPhones because Apple pays for Permanently Geek. They don't at all. But if they wanted to, we'd be okay with it. So there's a lot of names in this movie. A lot of people that starred in it or worked on it behind the scenes. They all did a pretty good job at not getting the plot out there. Though I did know the plot of this film for quite a while. Many months before the film was released. I think somebody posted on Reddit.
Devo fans are called Spuds?
Yes, they are. They're called Spuds.
What?
Thank you. That was what I was trying to drag out of my memory bank. Yep, they're called Spuds.
That's ridiculous.
Well, it's Devo. I mean,
everything about them is ridiculous.
Because Devo was the name was because of de-evolution. So the whole idea was devolving, and so there are a lot like early on. Devo was very much kind of performance art. In that they would repeat the "Are we not men? We are Devo" part of the song "Jocko Homo" until they successfully drove everyone out of the club that they were playing at. Like that was their goal, was to try to get the entire audience to leave, and if they succeeded in doing that, then they considered what they'd done a success. Huh. So having the fan base called Spuds makes a lot of sense with that whole.
That reminds me of Larry David. Apparently used to do something similar. He would go up, he'd go to a comedy club and he'd walk out and he'd look at the audience. He'd wait until the claps for him die down, and then he'd just look at the audience and let it get really quiet. And then there'd be a few people who would snicker because he's judging the audience, and then he'd let those snickers die down, and he would just look out there and let the audience get as cold as possible, and he would just be like, I can't work with you guys. And then he would just turn around and walk off the stage and not do a set. That was the joke. The joke was that.
Apparently had famous potato suits. Says random detail. Devo fans were called Spuds, and while we saw flower pot hats aplenty, we didn't see anyone attempt to reenact the group's famous potato suits. Okay.
This is so random.
Star
Wars, ladies and gentlemen.
My friend Mark is he considers himself a Spud. I own a piece of one of it was from stage performance, not from actual music video, but I have a piece of one of the yellow jumpsuits that Devo wore on one of their tours.
It was the cover of an album. They're in potato suits.
Yep.
Oh no, it's Devo. Look it up online, folks.
Yep. Spuds.
I'm not gonna look it up for you. You gotta do it yourself.
So we're from Northeast Ohio. Devo. A lot of people say that they're from Akron. They all went to high school at Roosevelt High School in Kent. So there's a little Devo connection.
Little Cleveland connection.
Yep. More Kent and Akron than Cleveland.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
I'm Devo.
What?
No, I'm not Devo.
Mark Mothersbaugh has actually, he does art shows around the area moderately frequently, and has also gone on to compose the scores to more than a few films, Rushmore being one of them.
Was originally going to be the composer on Whip It, but had a disagreement with Drew Barrymore.
That would have been some
that was why
notable synergy.
Yeah, a little synergy there, but they did not get along. They disagreed over the direction of the score. Him and Drew Barrymore, who was the director of the film, and unfortunately, he hasn't really made a movie since. I'd like to see Drew Barrymore make another movie.
So
maybe a Star Wars film.
Do we have any final thoughts on the film as the credits wrap up here?
Mostly, I can't wait for more. I
want to see the 3D version.
I want to see it in 3D. I'm really upset that Disney didn't put it out in 3D. Disney, if you're watching, and you might be, put it out on 3D, please. Hey, Julia Roberts did the sound PA on this.
Good job, Julia.
She's really. I thought she was still acting, but I guess not. But yeah, I think it's a great movie.
Not perfect.
It's flawed.
I've got my complaints, but certainly didn't stop me from enjoying it immensely every single time I've seen it. And I think it did exactly what was needed.
Yeah.
Yes.
It restored the fans' faith that they can come out of the theater after seeing a Star Wars movie with that feeling that Star Wars movies gave them in the past, and as Dana told us, given someone who had not had that feeling in the first place.
Yeah, I think it introduces a new generation, while still respecting what came before.
Yeah,
and that's brilliant.
I think it did exactly what it needed to. It wasn't a perfect film, but it's left the door open for so many interesting stories, and it's left us with so many questions that I think we've spent about a third of the commentary talking about all of the
just
fan
random speculation,
of, speculation. Some of it absurd, some of it plausible. Of what are these characters going to do? What are their motivations? What's their background? So much is left to the imagination and to the prognostications of fans. That I'm excited. I think
bring on episode 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
Let's
13,
do
14,
it.
15, 16, 17. I do not like 18. Bring on 19.
18, you stay out of
Fuck
here.
you, Star Wars 18.
All right.
And there we are.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening and enjoying along with us, watching with us. I am your host, Randy.
Michael McFarland.
Dana.
Be sure to subscribe to us below, and also you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram and all those different things. All that's down below in the description area. So be sure to do that. And thank you so much for watching, and we will see you on the next commentary.
And if you have any theories crazier than the Luke traveled around the galaxy, impregnating women and leaving those children on desert planets, please let us know in the comments, because I want to hear those.
If you're still listening, and you have some wild, just come up with the wildest theories you can. I want to read ridiculous fan theories. I want as many as possible. So. Yes. Well, thank you so much, folks, and we'll see you on the next commentary.
Bye.
Take care.
Thanks for stopping by.
Wicked, wicked. Star Wars.
Star Wars. Nothing but Star Wars.